While others set sail to find One Piece, Kaido set sail to find a good place to drink. The Grand Line remains the same, only the enemy's bad luck has skyrocketed. Kaido appears, not to train, not to talk, but to teach the world how to lie down properly, while the enemy is still buffing their stats. Kaido has already finished fighting and is back to drink more. Yonko, Marine, Celestial Dragons. Sounds familiar, but let's fight together quickly. This isn't a journey to become stronger, but a journey where Kaido makes others weaker. The ultimate challenge begins with us. Awesome and entertaining. You'll be hooked. The first half of the Grand Line. Yamato, having learned news about Ace, was extremely excited and thrilled, as it had been a while since she last saw him. During this time, Yamato also recruited a new subordinate. This subordinate incredulously asked Yamato-ne, "Do you know Ace, the 2nd Division captain of the Whitebeard Pirates? He's really amazing." "Of course, we have a very close relationship," Yamato replied with a smile, rubbing her nose. Moreover, having learned news about Ace, finding him was now within reach. This subordinate was incredibly excited because he was following the daughter of Kaido, one of the 4 emperors of the New World, the Beast Pirates. How could anyone compare to that status? After joining Yamato-ne and going to the Beast Pirates, he would definitely gain a high-ranking position. Thinking of this younger brother couldn't help but get excited. Yamato, however, thought that his younger brother's excitement was because he had the same mindset as Kozuki Oden. It could be said that they both completely misunderstood each other's intentions. Yamato thought he was enlightened by Kozuki Oden's ideology. This younger brother, on the other hand, was attracted to Yamato's status as the daughter of Kaido, one of the 4 emperors of beasts. As for the dead Kozuki Oden, who cared? Similarly, this younger brother was also impressed by Yamato's strength. In his eyes, she was indeed worthy of being the daughter of the great pirate Kaido of Beasts. 2 days later, in the first half of the Grand Line, on Banaro Island, the Blackbeard pirates were walking through the streets, while the villages within had already been completely looted by them. Blackbeard Teach swaggered ahead, laughing arrogantly, "Ha ha ha. You little rascals, we're about to pull off a big heist. That Straw Hat Luffy is closest to us. Capture him and offer him to the world government in exchange for a warlord position. This is fate." Van Augur replied, wielding his sniper rifle. "Wow." Burgess raised both hands and laughed. "That's fantastic, Captain. We're one step closer to your plan." Lafitte circled around, holding his sword, and added, "It's really something to look forward to next." Doku slumped listlessly on his horse, looking sickly. At this moment, Ace, perched on the roof, looked at Blackbeard Teach and called out, "Hey, Teach, you've really kept me searching for you." Blackbeard Teach heard someone calling him. Turning around, he discovered it was Ace. Blackbeard Teach immediately burst out laughing, spreading his arms wide, and asked, "Captain Ace, it's been a long time since we last met. How about it? Do you want to join my pirate crew? I've already formulated a plan. The Whitebeard era is over." "Just in time. There's this Straw Hat Kid Luffy. Let's offer him to the world government," Blackbeard Teach said excitedly. Ace's anger grew, and he coldly said, "You mean Luffy? You know him?" Blackbeard Teach asked back, slightly confused. Ace continued coldly, "Teach, then I absolutely cannot let you go. Luffy is my younger brother." "What?" Blackbeard Teach was also surprised that Ace and Straw Hat Luffy had this connection. Bang! Bang! Suddenly, Ace's chest and forehead were pierced by 2 bullets, emitting flames that burned continuously. These 2 bullets were fired from Van Augur's sniper rifle. Ace's body slowly closed in, and he said, "There's an impolite guy here." Ace pointed his fingers at Van Augur, continuously launching flame attacks. Flame gun! One flame after another struck Van Augur, who kept running diagonally to the left. Just as Ace finished speaking, Burgess raised a house and fiercely swung it towards Ace. Seeing this, Ace flicked his right hand. Flame Realm, Fire Pillar. A circular pillar of fire erupted from Ace's body, burning down the house Burgess had thrown. Blackbeard Teach continuously retreated several steps, shouting, "Van Augur, Burgess, don't you to attack on your own. You're no match for him." Fire Fist. An enormous fist of flames directly struck Blackbeard Teach and all the members of the Blackbeard Pirates. Blackbeard Teach, bearing the brunt of the attack, rolled around on the ground for several turns, screaming in agony. Captain! Luffy, Burgess, Van Augur, and Docu rushed over to check on their captain, Blackbeard. Blackbeard Teach gasped for breath, then stood up and said, "You all retreat." Black smoke continuously emanated from Blackbeard Teach's body. Seeing this, Luffy, Burgess, Van Augur, and Docu quickly ran away. As Burgess ran, he said, "Captain Teach, he's about to cause trouble again." After unleashing the power of the Yummy Yummy no Mi, Blackbeard Teach arrogantly laughed. He ha 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 ha, your power is fire, right? Then my power is darkness. So, Ace, you better watch how terrifying my power is. Ace raised his eyebrows and questioned Teach. Is this your reason for killing Thatch? Ha ha ha, Blackbeard Teach laughed in response. This is because this devil fruit chose me. I've been with the Whitebeard pirates for so many years, knowing that the chances of obtaining this fruit on Whitebeard's ship are higher. I know, Ace, you really want to kill me. I violated the only rule on Whitebeard's ship, killing my crewmates. But fate is so strange. The appearance of this fruit signifies my ascent to the top of the world. Teach, no matter what you say, today is destined to end here. Ace's tone remained unusually cold from beginning to end. Blackbeard Teach revealed an evil grin and said, "Ha ha, Ace, I won't attack you yet. Take a good look at the powerful abilities of this devil fruit." According to Blackbeard Teach, who activated the power of his Yummy Yummy no Mi, he swallowed the entire village. Laughing, he said, "Ha ha ha, Ace, this is the power of my Logia-type Yummy Yummy no Mi. Just watch their fate." Release. As soon as Blackbeard Teach finished speaking, a large amount of wooden architectural ruins were released from the black smoke, scattering in all directions. Just as Blackbeard Teach was wildly excited, several green flames appeared around him. Firefly, Daruma Fire. These green flames instantly exploded on Blackbeard Teach's body. Blackbeard Teach screamed in agony as Ace's flames engulfed him. The black smoke immediately billowed out, devouring and absorbing the flames, while Blackbeard Teach was gasping for breath. Ace raised an eyebrow and said, "Strange, if you're a Logia-type ability user, my attacks should be easily dodged, right?" Ha ha ha, Blackbeard Teach stood up and laughed, replying, "This is where I'm different from you. I can't elementalize, but my ability can absorb all damage, whether it's bullets, swords, flames, or lightning. I can absorb them all. The risk is that I have to endure the pain several times. But compared to this price, my left Yummy Yummy no Mi ability has another ability, and that is Kuruzu." Blackbeard Teach's right hand emitted black smoke as he aimed at Ace and shouted, "What?" Before Ace could react, he was pulled by an invisible force. The next moment, Ace's shoulder was grabbed by Blackbeard Teach. Blackbeard Teach laughed, "Ha ha ha, Ace, you can feel it. My Yummy Yummy no Mi ability can grab onto something else. Could it be?" Ace was just about to realize what was happening when Blackbeard Teach punched him hard in the stomach. Blackbeard Teach sent Ace flying, crashing into the ruins. Ace wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and whispered, "So that's it. You really have acquired a difficult ability to deal with. But as long as you don't catch me, that's fine." Kuruzu. Blackbeard Teach activated his Yummy Yummy no Mi ability again. Ace's body was once again uncontrollably absorbed, and along the way, Ace quickly gathered 2 flame spears and threw them at Blackbeard Teach. Blackbeard Teach's chest was instantly pierced by 2 flaming spears. Enduring the pain, Blackbeard Teach punched back towards Ace's neck. Once again, Blackbeard Teach sent Ace flying. He then hastily grabbed the 2 flamethrowers on his chest with both hands, angrily shouting, "Disgusting! Is this a flamethrower?" Ace, covering his neck with his left hand, said with a grim expression, "I feel like my bones are about to break." This clash had left both of them injured. Blackbeard Teach laughed, "Ha ha ha, Captain Ace, you're truly amazing. But you're destined to be no match for my dark power." On a mountaintop, Lafitte, Van Augur, Burgess, and Docu watched Captain Blackbeard Teach and Fire Fist Ace battle. Van Augur remarked, "No matter what kind of devil fruit ability a user possesses, once their power is sealed, they will become weak and vulnerable. On the contrary, that Fire Fist Ace has very strong basic fighting power. He truly lives up to his reputation as the Whitebeard Pirates captain." Ha ha ha, Burgess raised both hands and laughed. "Anyway, Captain Teach can definitely defeat Fire Fist Ace." Boom Boom Ace and Blackbeard Teach's battle intensified. Ace was covered in wounds, blood constantly dripping from the corners of his mouth. Blackbeard Teach was in a slightly better situation, but he was also exhausted. Ace, with a fearless look in his eyes, said, "If I submit to power, then I am not a man." Great Flame Realm, Flame Emperor. Ace unleashed the remaining power within him, a terrifying flame continuously gathering, forming a sphere as bright as the sun. Blackbeard Teach watched Ace's concentrated attack and sneered, "Ha ha ha. Ace, is your sun more powerful? Or is my darkness more powerful? Let's settle this once again." Blackbeard Teach also released and gathered all the energy from his yummy Nomi, forming a dark mist similar to Ace's Flame Emperor. Blackbeard Teach laughed regretfully, "Ha ha ha. What a pity, Ace, someone as powerful as you, but everything ends here." Blood flowed from Ace's mouth, his right hand holding the great flame ring. The Flame Emperor said, "Teach, I will put Whitebeard on the Pirate King's throne." Ha ha ha. Blackbeard Teach laughed in return. "Ace, let's see if you have the strength to do that." Ace and Blackbeard Teach simultaneously unleashed their attacks. Flame Emperor, Underworld Emperor. A massive wave of flames and a massive wave of black smoke and fog collided, causing the entire island to shake violently. Ace had used his final attack, and whether he could ultimately defeat Blackbeard Teach was uncertain to himself. The villagers far away were also deeply shaken by the scene before them. Such a terrifying sight they had never seen before. This miniature island had been split in two, one side engulfed in scorching flames, the other in thick, dark smoke, both fiercely clashing. Not far from Bonaro Island, on a small boat, Yamato saw the battle between flames and darkness erupting on the island. Yamato immediately sensed danger and exclaimed, "This is bad. We must hurry over. Ace is in danger." Yamato vaguely sensed that Ace was in a difficult battle, and whoever could make Ace fight so hard must be very powerful. "All right, Sister Yamato." The younger brother beside her also hurriedly steered the boat to speed forward. As the darkness relentlessly devoured Ace, he officially fell into a coma. Blackbeard Teach walked step by step towards the unconscious Ace, laughing, "Ha ha ha, since that's the case. Captain Ace, I have no choice but to offer you up to the world government. Who told you to walk right into their trap?" "Captain Teach, be careful," Burgess shouted from afar. "What?" Blackbeard Teach was still stunned, not knowing why Burgess was telling him to be careful. The next moment, a spiked club appeared above Blackbeard Teach's head and slammed into Blackbeard Teach's forehead. Yamato swung the spiked club, sending Blackbeard Teach flying, and then roared angrily, "You bastard, stay away from Ace." Having expended a great deal of physical strength, Blackbeard Teach, after tumbling dozens of meters backward, collapsed directly onto the ground, panting heavily. Lafitte, Burgess, Van Auger, and Docu all rushed to their Captain Teach's side to check on his condition. Yamato, on the other hand, was shaking the unconscious Ace, frantically saying, "Ace, wake up. Quickly wake Ace, he's bleeding so much." Yamato knew Ace was seriously injured and needed immediate treatment. At this moment, Yamato's subordinates also arrived. Blackbeard Teach stood up again, seeing someone causing trouble. A wicked smile appeared on his lips, and he said, "Thief, ha 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 ha, it seems you also know Captain Ace. So, who are you?" Yamato hoisted her staff onto her shoulder and loudly declared, "I am Yamato. I am Kaido's daughter, and I aspire to become as great as Kozuki Oden." However, Blackbeard Teach and his crew paid no attention to Yamato's claim of becoming Kozuki Oden. Instead, they were more interested in her being Kaido's daughter, which was no small matter. Van Auger said, "Captain Teach, the other party is the daughter of the Yonko Kaido, and there are no rumors outside that Kaido has any children. This person might very well be Kaido's only child. Isn't that troublesome?" Burgess also felt uneasy, as the news about Kaido had been all about the Yonko recently. Seeing this, Yamato quickly instructed her subordinate, "Take Ace and leave this place immediately. If we stay here any longer, we'll be caught in the crossfire." Knowing he couldn't help much and that adding another unconscious Fire Fist Ace would put them at a disadvantage, the younger brother replied, "Okay. Yamato-ne, you should be careful too. Don't worry, those guys can't do anything to me." Yamato replied confidently. Yamato was simply worried that the fight would spread to Ace and that his subordinates would take Ace away. Only then could Yamato fight freely. Lafitte reminded, "Captain Teach, they want to rescue Fire Fist Ace. What are we waiting for? Chase them quickly." Blackbeard Teach didn't want the pigeon to fly away. Just as Luffy unfolded his white wings and flew out to chase Fire Fist Ace, a blast of freezing air instantly swept towards Luffy, freezing half of his body. Luffy's movements were also interrupted. Blackbeard Teach was stunned, hastily searching for the reason. Seeing Yamato's appearance, he exclaimed in shock, "What? If I'm not mistaken, your Devil Fruit ability is a mythical Zoan?" Ha ha ha, Burgess laughed, as expected of Kaido's daughter. Even her Devil Fruit ability is a mythical Zoan, Captain Teach. What do you think? Ha ha ha, Blackbeard Teach once again revealed an evil grin, saying indeed, mythical Zoan abilities are rarely seen and are especially rare. To be honest, Blackbeard Teach was tempted by Yamato's mythical Zoan ability. Then Augur watched Fire Fist Ace getting further and further away, raised his sniper rifle, and said, "No matter what, we can't let Fire Fist Ace get away. You bastards, don't even think about laying a hand on Ace." In his beast form, Yamato unleashed his Heishoku Haki. Then Augur, who was preparing to shoot, was disrupted by this Heishoku Haki shockwave, forcing him to stop his movements. Blackbeard Teach's face darkened as he said, "Heishoku Haki. Well, it's understandable. After all, she's Kaido's daughter. It's normal for her to have Heishoku Haki." At this moment, Luffy broke free from the ice covering half his body and stood beside Captain Blackbeard Teach. Yamato's eyes swept around, finally letting out a sigh of relief that his subordinate had safely left the area with Ace. He withdrew his gaze, his sharp eyes fixed on Blackbeard Teach and the other five, saying, "Although I don't know what kind of food Ace has with you, Ace is my friend, and I don't want to be your enemy." Ha ha ha, Blackbeard Teach chuckled sinisterly. "You really dare to say that? But Captain Ace has already escaped. You will become our prey." Luffy, his face pale and expressionless, paced around, holding his sword, and said, "I wonder if Kaido will be restless after his daughter falls into our hands." Blackbeard Teach, having already expended a large amount of his energy, wasn't a fool. He immediately ordered in a low voice, "Little ones, wait until I control him. Then you all attack him." Luffy, Burgess, Van Augur, and Q all nodded. Indeed, their captain, Blackbeard Teach, had already expended a large amount of energy defeating Fire Fist Ace, and his current condition was very poor. Continuing to fight Kaido's daughter might well lead to defeat. Yamato took the lead in launching an attack. Ice Fan. A blast of icy air shot from Yamato's mouth, like hot breath, towards Blackbeard Teach and his group. Banaro Island. Previously, it was a clash of fire and darkness. Now it has transformed into a clash of freezing air and darkness. Boom! Boom! Blackbeard Teach directly brought four of his subordinates to surround Yamato. Because in a one-on-one fight, Blackbeard Teach's stamina was insufficient to sustain him against this woman. Even with the Yami Yami no Mi's ability to suppress the opponent's Devil Fruit ability, the previous battle with Ace had also taken a huge toll on his stamina. After 5 hours, Yamato lay unconscious on the ground, covered in blood. Blackbeard Teach and his group were no better off, barely clinging to life. If it weren't for Q constantly using venom to disrupt Yamato and Van Augur's relentless sniper attacks, defeating Yamato wouldn't have been so easy. Burgess's left side of his body was shattered by Yamato's attack, and he lay paralyzed on the ground, foaming at the mouth. Q was covered in frostbite, Van Augur's neck was severed by Yamato, and his sniper rifle lay several meters away. Blackbeard Teach was equally battered. Not only was his nose dislocated, but his left leg was also broken by Yamato's spiked club. If it weren't for the Yami Yami no Mi's ability to absorb the damage, Blackbeard Teach didn't know if he would have died already. The pain had nearly driven Blackbeard Teach to a mental breakdown. Fortunately, Lafitte seized the opportunity to deliver a heavy blow to Yamato. Otherwise, the entire Blackbeard pirates would have likely been wiped out. Lafitte sat on the ground, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said, "Captain Teach, we were almost completely defeated." Ha ha ha, Blackbeard Teach spat out fresh blood, still arrogantly laughing. "This proves that fate is on my side." Disgusting, it hurts so much. My left leg and my nose. The intense pain caused Blackbeard Teach's whole body to convulse, and he rolled on the ground screaming in agony. Although Blackbeard Teach was in great pain, he didn't forget the important matter, and hurriedly reminded Lafitte, "Quickly go and restrain that woman, otherwise, if she wakes up, I'll be finished." "All right, Captain Teach. Lafitte slowly stood up and walked towards the unconscious Yamato. To be honest, none of the Blackbeard pirates had expected that Kaido's daughter would be so difficult to deal with. Lafitte approached Yamato from behind, her face pale, licking her lips as she said, "This is truly unexpected. Normally, you, as Kaido's daughter, should have a wealth of combat experience, yet you still made such a low-level mistake. Either our entire crew was wiped out, or we were the ones who suffered." Lafitte pulled out a pair of handcuffs and locked Yamato's hands. The scene then returned to the final attack between Blackbeard Teach and Yamato. At that moment, Blackbeard Teach suddenly shouted, "Captain Ace, why are you here?" This distracted Yamato, and as expected, Lafitte, who had been preparing to strike, launched a surprise attack. Therefore, even now, Lafitte still feels fortunate for the Blackbeard pirates. If this woman hadn't intervened at that time, they would be the ones in trouble now. Yamato's hands were cuffed behind her back, and her entire body was bound with chains. Blackbeard Teach didn't dare give Yamato any chance to move. Heaven knows, if they attacked Kaido's daughter, and Kaido found out, it was a serious question whether he would immediately come to their doorstep. Blackbeard Teach lay on the ground enduring intense pain, his mouth twitching as he ordered Lafitte, "You just tidy up a bit and then go to Marine headquarters. We must quickly get this woman out of here, otherwise she be a hot potato. Extremely disadvantageous to us. My only goal is to seize the position of Shichibukai warlord." This time, Blackbeard Teach felt his entire pirate crew, including himself, had almost been wiped out, so he had to be even more cautious. "All right, Captain Teach," Lafitte replied, nodding slightly. Blackbeard Teach also wanted to steal Yamato's mythical Zoan ability, but after thinking about it, the Beast King Kaido's daughter was even more valuable than the mythical Zoan ability. Burgess, Ben Augur, and Daki were all crippled by this woman, including Blackbeard himself, whose left leg and nose were severed. Only Lafitte, with her flying Zoan ability, would have suffered the same fate as them. At the same time, on a small boat, Ace slowly opened his eyes and looked around suspiciously, saying, "Wasn't I fighting Blackbeard Teach? Why am I on the sea? Who are you?" "Fire Fist Ace, you're awake. I'm Yamato's younger brother." This younger brother explained after seeing Fire Fist Ace wake up. Ace, realizing something was wrong, questioned, "Tell me quickly, what exactly happened? Hurry." Okay. This henchman was clearly intimidated by Ace's tone and explained the situation to Fire Fist Ace. After hearing it, he slammed his fist on the wooden plank, ignoring his injuries, and loudly ordered, "Now immediately return to Banaro Island." But Sister Yamato has instructions. The henchman kept reminding him. Ace directly lifted his clothes and shouted again, "Don't make me use force. Understand?" I understand. I'll return to the starting point now." This henchman was intimidated by Fire Fist Ace's actions. Although Fire Fist Ace was covered in wounds, he was no match for him. Ace looked towards Banaro Island, saying worriedly, "Yamato, you absolutely must be all right. If anything happens to you, then I'll truly have made a mistake." Several hours had passed, and Ace hoped to encounter them soon. Although Yamato was very strong, Blackbeard Teach was equally formidable. It's better to be safe than sorry. At Marineford headquarters, in the meeting room, Bartholomew Kuma, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, sat quietly in his chair. At this moment, Doflamingo swaggered in with his hands in his pockets, looked around at everyone in the meeting room, and said with a smile, No, Bartholomew Kuma. You're really punctual. What's wrong? Are you so eager for the world government's deployment?" Bartholomew Kuma didn't answer Doflamingo's question, remaining seated. Doflamingo didn't continue to humiliate himself because Bartholomew Kuma was acting like that. There were 2 other Marine headquarters rear admirals present. Doflamingo raised his hand and flicked his fingers. One of the rear admirals involuntarily drew his sword and swung it at the other rear admiral. Wanting to be beheaded, the rear admiral hastily questioned, "Hey, what are you trying to do?" "I don't know either. My body is out of control." The Marine rear admiral, wielding his sword, was extremely anxious at this moment, completely unaware of what was happening, his body unconsciously beginning to move. No, Doflamingo sneered. "Doesn't this count as a pre-meeting entertainment activity?" At this moment, Vice Admiral Tsuru approached from the gate and said, "Doflamingo, you still don't remember things well. You like to do these kinds of petty thefts." No, 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 Doflamingo greeted with a smile. Oh, isn't this Chief of Staff Tsuru? Long time no see. Then Sengoku also came in and said, "Stop, Doflamingo." Since Marshal Sengoku has spoken, I naturally want to give him this face. Doflamingo waved his hand in response. Following Doflamingo's suspension of his ability to activate his powers, the restrained Marine Rear Admiral finally sighed. Sengoku criticized, "You two are truly disgraceful. Hurry back and reflect on this properly." "Yes, Marshal Sengoku." The two Marine Rear Admirals quickly responded and retreated from the meeting room. This was truly too embarrassing. Doflamingo sat down very casually. "I heard a lot of nonsense from afar. If this meeting is only about these things, I feel there's absolutely no need to participate." At this moment, a voice came from the door, a voice that originated from Hawkeye Mihawk. Upon seeing that the person who had arrived was Hawkeye Mihawk, everyone present showed surprised expressions. Doflamingo said in disbelief, "Is this true or false? Even you would be attending this conference?" Mihawk, the Hawkeye, walked over and casually found a chair to sit down in. Sengoku, unusually pleased, said, "It's truly remarkable. Initially, I didn't expect to see anyone present at this warlords meeting. But the fact that you three are here shows you're quite cooperative with the world government and the Navy. This meeting is about filling a vacant warlord's position. No matter what, this position definitely needs to be filled. Regarding the vacant warlord's position, I can actually recommend someone." Before Sengoku could finish speaking, he was interrupted. A person appeared by the window. It was Luffy. Sengoku, Vice Admiral Tsuru, Mihawk, Doflamingo, Bartholomew Kuma, and the others all turned their gazes towards Luffy. Luffy, sensing the gazes of so many people behind him, circled around holding his sword and said with a smile, "It's truly an honor today to see so many important figures here." "You're Luffy, the West Sea Security Officer, aren't you?" Vice Admiral Tsuru finally realized who this person was. Luffy replied politely, "That's me. I'm also a member of the Blackbeard Pirates. I've come here to nominate my captain, Blackbeard Teach, to become one of the 7 warlords of the sea." Luffy continued, "Striking while the iron was hot, of course. Our Blackbeard Pirates will also offer a gift that neither the Navy nor the world government can refuse." Sengoku, who had been planning to refuse, hesitated slightly. How could someone dare boast about a gift that even the Navy and the world government couldn't refuse? Sengoku pondered for 2 seconds before asking, "Tell me, what exactly is it?" "You should know that your captain, Blackbeard, isn't famous yet. Becoming a Shichibukai warlord isn't that easy." Vice Admiral Tsuru, Hawkeye Mihawk, Doflamingo, and Bartholomew Kuma were all curious, wondering what it was that dared to boast so much. Luffy stepped forward, turning his sword and saying, "The gift we Blackbeard pirates are giving to the Navy and the world government is the daughter of the Yonko Kaido, the Beast King, as a bargaining chip for our captain to become a Shichibukai." As soon as Luffy said this, everyone present showed incredulous expressions. Kaido's daughter? Especially Doflamingo's eyelids twitched uncontrollably, as if he sensed something terrible was about to happen, and a chill ran down his spine. Sengoku and Vice Admiral Tsuru exchanged glances, knowing this matter couldn't be taken lightly. Sengoku said, "You may go back. Whether or not you become a Shichibukai warlord of the 7 seas will naturally be reported when the time comes. If there's no report, then so be it. Thank you very much. Then I'll take my leave." Luffy replied, and a pair of wings unfolded behind him as he flew out of the meeting room. After Luffy left, Sengoku said, "This meeting ends here. You three may go." As soon as Sengoku finished speaking, Bartholomew Kuma said, "Farewell." He also directly disappeared from the meeting room. This was Bartholomew Kuma's ability. Hawkeye Mihawk stood up and left the meeting room, calmly saying, "How boring, a trip to nothing." Meanwhile, Doflamingo was still in a dazed state. Vice Admiral Tsuru inquired, "Doflamingo, what are you thinking about?" "Nothing." Doflamingo, with his hands in his pockets, strode out of the meeting room, his mind racing with thoughts of whether or not to immediately tell Kaido. In the sacred land of Mariejwa, Sengoku entered the Gorosei's territory. And then Baron V. Nasu Jurosate, carrying his samurai sword, said seriously, "So it's that Marshal D. Teach who captured Kaido's daughter and wants her to become one of the 7 warlords of the sea." "Yes, that's why I came to ask for your instructions regarding this matter, since it concerns Kaido." Sengoku stood before the Gorosei and replied seriously. Shepherd Rue. Peter leaned against the wall and said, and one more thing, that Blackbeard teach wants to marry off his anger to us. Indeed, Topman Valkyrie Saint, sitting on the sofa, said, but having said that, even we don't know about Kaido's daughter. You can imagine how well Kaido has kept himself hidden. Marcus Mars Saint also chimed in. Currently, the crucial issue is that we want to prevent Blackbeard Teach from becoming one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Once he succeeds, conflict with Kaido of the Beast Pirates will be inevitable. Wano Country. Saint J. Garcia Saturn thought of Wano Country and said, the Beast Pirates' headquarters is Wano Country. Wano has always been isolated, with no contact with the outside world. Furthermore, Wano Country is the most important country. We can't just ignore it. With Saint J. Garcia Saturn's words, the other Gorosei understood the implication. They had all thought of this, but Saint J. Garcia Saturn brought it up first. Topman Valkyrie Saint looked at Sengoku and said seriously, Sengoku, agree to let Blackbeard Teach become one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and after we obtain Kaido's daughter, we should maximize our use of her, ideally eliminating the Beast Pirates and Kaido in one fell swoop. Wano Country cannot fall into the hands of certain people in the future. And then Baron V. Nasanjiro Saint tapped his samurai sword on his shoulder and said coldly, Sengoku, if necessary, publicly execute Kaido's daughter. So that's it, I understand. Sengoku also realized that this matter had escalated to an extremely serious issue. The Gorosei had taken the matter to the point of public execution. It was no longer an ordinary matter. Moreover, Sengoku was also aware of something else. The Gorosei placed great importance on Wano Country, and now Wano was the territory of the Beast Pirates. If they wanted to send troops to attack, it would require a large amount of manpower, and even then, they might not be able to conquer it. Anyway, Wano Country is naturally suited for defense, so the public execution of Kaido's daughter was precisely to lure Kaido and his entire pirate crew out. However, Sengoku was also curious why the Gorosei seemed particularly interested in Wano Country, even resorting to public executions to eliminate Kaido in order to open a shortcut to Wano. Topman Valkyrie Saint reminded him, Sengoku, we must take him down in one fell swoop. Of course, if Kaido doesn't come to rescue his daughter, then we will use our reputation to constantly pressure Kaido. As Sengoku walked back to Marineford, he thought that if he had to use force against the 4 emperors, he would actually prefer to deal with Whitebeard, because he knew Whitebeard well enough and also knew his weaknesses. The problem was that Sengoku didn't have enough information about Kaido of the Beasts, and furthermore, the purpose of Kaido's recent rampage in the East Blue and the first half of the Grand Line was completely unknown. Returning to Marineford, they also needed to hold a high-level meeting. After all, this matter couldn't be taken lightly. The next day, news of Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach becoming Ishichibukai warlord spread throughout the world. When Ace saw the news about Teach becoming Ishichibukai in the newspapers, his anger instantly flared up, burning the newspaper in his hand. Ace's veins bulged, and he angrily shouted, Teach, you bastard, I won't let you get away with this. Yamato, you must be alright. I'll find a way to save you. Ace hadn't been this angry in a long time. Blackbeard Teach not only killed Thatch, tarnishing his father's honor, but now he's also made Yamato's whereabouts unknown. No matter the cost, they must kill Blackbeard Teach. Meanwhile, on the Blackbeard pirate side, Blackbeard Teach spread his arms wide and laughed heartily, ha ha ha. The plan succeeded. We've secured the position of the 7 warlords of the sea. Van Augur, the lookout, said, Captain Teach, a marine warship is heading towards this island. Who's on board? Blackbeard Teach asked. After all, they hadn't yet handed over Kaido's daughter to the Marines. The Marines' arrival was perfectly normal. Van Augur replied, 2 Vice Admirals are leading the team. Vice Admiral Onagumo and Vice Admiral Doberman. Ha ha ha, Burgess said, laughing. Those 2 Lieutenant Generals, they seem to be quite famous among Lieutenant Generals, don't they? Lafitte paced around, holding his sword, and said, if things don't go well, the Navy might cause a major incident. It's not certain. Blackbeard Teach revealed a ferocious grin and said, ha ha ha, isn't that perfect? After all, if we don't make a big deal out of it, I can't really do anything either, right, you little rascals? Burgess, Lafitte, Van Augur, and Q all smiled. As Blackbeard Teach's crew members, they naturally knew Captain Blackbeard Teach's plans. After the warship arrived, Onagumo and Doberman walked up to Blackbeard Teach. Onagumo smoked his cigar and said, "Are you Blackbeard?" "Ha ha ha." Blackbeard Teach revealed an arrogant smile and said, "That's me." Doberman asked, "Where is Kaido's daughter?" Blackbeard Teach gestured slightly, signaling Burgess to bring Kaido's daughter. Burgess then dragged a woman bound by seastone handcuffs and chains forward. The warship escorting Yamato sailed ahead towards Impel Down across the sea. Onagumo watched Yamato's constant antics and warned Kaido's daughter, "You must understand the situation. You are not just a prisoner, be honest, or you will suffer." HMPH, what are these things? Just a prisoner. I've experienced countless times before. Yamato retorted dismissively. Onagumo raised an eyebrow and coldly said, "You're quite the brat. Enjoy your last moments in Impel Down." At the same time, at Marineford, the Marine headquarters, a high-level conference was being held. The three admirals, the Marine's most powerful combatants, were also summoned to attend the meeting. The entire meeting room was filled with the most important figures in the Navy: Admiral Sengoku, Chief of Staff Vice Admiral Tsuru, Navy hero Garp, and the three top admirals of Headquarters Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru. Kizaru sat with his legs crossed, trimming his nails, and said contemptuously, "How terrifying." In other words, we're preparing to publicly execute Kaido's daughter? But isn't that making a mountain out of a molehill? Borsalino, we in the Navy must resolutely uphold justice and completely exterminate pirates, Akainu replied coldly. According to Akainu, as long as they were pirates, no matter what, the goal was only one: extermination. Aokiji scratched his head lazily and said, "What a nuisance, Kaido's daughter." There was one more thing Aokiji didn't say. Nicole Robin had run off to the Beast Pirates. This was extremely important, but Aokiji didn't intend to reveal it in front of so many people. Garp sighed and said, "These are truly chaotic times. There's simply not a moment of peace. There's no way around it. This sea is like this, which is why we, the Navy, need to uphold justice." Vice Admiral Tsuru, understanding Garp's thoughts, replied. Sengoku glanced at the 5 people present, all of whom were the most important pillars of the Navy, and said seriously, "Next, we are preparing to publicly execute Kaido's daughter, Yamato. This will greatly increase the chances that Kaido of the Beast Pirates will try to rescue his daughter. Of course, it's also possible he won't, so we must prepare for war. It's just Kaido of the Beasts, yet he's making such a big fuss over us." "He's got some nerve," Akainu replied, leaning back in his chair without even glancing at him. Sengoku tapped his fingers on the table and said, "No matter what. Our opponent is a Yonko-level figure, and there's also the Beast Pirates. We can't underestimate them. We must ensure this war is absolutely victorious, without any unexpected events. We must completely annihilate the Beast Pirates, including Kaido. At the same time, facing the impending public execution, we must recruit all the Shichibukai warlords of the sea. If anyone doesn't show up, they will be immediately expelled. Giving them the title of Shichibukai doesn't mean they'll just sit around doing nothing for the Navy and the world government." Kizaru, with a humble expression, trimmed his fingernails and inquired, "Marshal Sengoku, normally, even if we captured Kaido's daughter, we wouldn't need to make such a big fuss, would we? What's the reason behind this? After all, by doing this, we're essentially trying to forcefully disrupt the New World's 4 Emperors' power structure." Sengoku let out a slow sigh and replied, "Wano country is a strategic target for the world government in the future. It's highly likely that Wano country is one of them, and Wano country is Kaido's territory. Do you all understand now?" "So that's it," Aokiji said thoughtfully. However, the Gorosei's ambitions are a bit too ambitious. Even if they wipe out the Beast Pirates, they might not necessarily be able to control Wano country. After all, the New World is still pirate territory. Kyuzen, all your thoughts are completely unnecessary. Akainu, unaccustomed to Aokiji's motherly, overthinking thoughts, said bluntly, "We are the Marines. As long as they are pirates, no matter the reason, we must eliminate them. It's that simple. Don't you understand?" Aokiji wasn't one to back down, directly retorting, "Sakazuki, don't use your own methods on me. Your thinking is still too extreme." Seeing that Akainu and Aokiji were about to come to blows, Sengoku immediately intervened, saying, "Okay, let's stop arguing. Our mission now is to publicly execute Kaido's daughter, Yamato. Everyone should be ready. The news will be announced worldwide in a week. The official execution date is half a month from now. At the Marine Headquarters high-level meeting, Doflamingo, back in his Dressrosa palace, picked up his phone and dialed Kaido's number. After reconsidering the matter, Doflamingo decided to tell Kaido of the Beasts. Firstly, he currently had a cooperative relationship with Kaido of the Beasts. Secondly, if Kaido of the Beasts were to fall from power, he wanted to revise many of his plans once again. By then, things would become even more troublesome. So Doflamingo told Kaido of the 100 Beasts, also hoping to see what Kaido would do. Wano Country, Onigashima. Kaido retracted the vine back into his body, and before him lay a dozen withered human corpses and a medium-sized Ziking. After several days like this, Kaido slowly figured out what kind of life force the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan needed to evolve into the Rinnegan. It wasn't the kind of life force Seeking could provide, but a special life force factor within the human body. Of course, Seeking's life force was undoubtedly countless times greater, but the problem was that it lacked the special life force factor needed to evolve into the Rinnegan. He wondered if this was because the pirate world was different from the Hawkage world. Kaido also absorbed 50 or more of them, discovering that the stronger the person, the more life force factor they could provide. At the same time, to provide the life force factor needed to evolve the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan into the Rinnegan, the required life force factor was enormous. To put it bluntly, it would require destroying a nation, then destroying another nation, and then another. A normal human being would need at least hundreds of millions or even tens of millions of people. For powerful individuals, this number would decrease. At this moment, Kaido's phone rang. After answering, he said, Moses, this is Kaido. Doflamingo, on the other end, also answered, Lord Kaido, this is Doflamingo. I have a very important matter to report to you. What is it? Kaido was also a little surprised. What could be so important that Doflamingo would say it was? The only major event during this period could be the Summit War, the Marine Headquarters, and the 7 Warlords of the Sea versus the Whitebeard Pirates. Doflamingo slowly reported into the phone, Lord Kaido, I'll tell you. Please don't get agitated. The situation is like this. A man named Marshall D. Teach, nicknamed Blackbeard, defeated your daughter Yamato. Now your daughter Yamato is imprisoned in Impel Down, and Blackbeard has become the new warlord of the 7 Warlords of the Sea because of this. Most importantly, the Navy intends to publicly execute your daughter Yamato with the goal of wiping you and your beast pirates out in one fell swoop. After Doflamingo finished speaking, he seemed to foresee the scene of Kaido's furious outburst, but a few seconds passed, and Kaido still showed no signs of anger or rage. This made Doflamingo mutter to himself, what's going on? Kaido's own daughter has been captured and is about to be publicly executed. Why isn't Kaido angry? Or has he already gone crazy with anger? He hasn't reacted yet. That seems possible. Kaido was also stunned. The script seemed abnormal. Shouldn't Blackbeard Teach be capturing Ace? How did he capture Yamato instead? Or did Yamato herself walk right into the line of fire? Kaido was lost in thought. Should he publicly execute Yamato? That's a boring move. But if it's the same as in the original story, would he summon a large number of Marines? Then, by absorbing a large amount of their life force, his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan could get even closer to the Rinnegan. Suddenly, Kaido smirked. Ha ha! He was still contemplating how to obtain that large amount of life force, but the Marines have delivered themselves to him. So you all better prepare to become my prey. Whether Yamato's execution would be publicly revealed or not, Kaido didn't care at all. Instead, he thought that if the Marine Headquarters summoned a large number of Marines, then these, in Kaido's eyes, would be perfect prey. Moreover, those Marines weren't ordinary people. They could be considered elite soldiers. So be it. So let's make a big move and see if the world's navies and governments can handle it. Doflamingo, still suspicious, wondered why Kaido was so silent. He cautiously inquired, Lord Kaido, are you all right? Joker, if there's any news of celestial dragons appearing on the Sabaody archipelago, let me know immediately, Kaido replied with an evil grin. Doflamingo's head felt like it was going to explode. Was he planning to target celestial dragons? That was huge news. So Doflamingo also burst into a frantic laugh, saying, No, rest assured, Lord Kaido. as soon as there's any confirmed news of celestial dragons on the Sabati archipelago. I'll let you know immediately. After Kaido hung up the phone, Doflamingo sat there in a daze. Pouring a glass of red wine, Doflamingo licked his lips and chuckled. No others say I'm crazy. But that beast Pirates Kaido is the real lunatic. I wonder what he'll do after capturing the celestial dragons. But then again, if they really fight, the beast pirates are in big trouble. Capturing the celestial dragons might just be adding more cards to their game. Alright, why am I thinking so much? I'm a neutral party. Let them kill each other. And I want to sit back and reap the benefits. Although Doflamingo himself had spoken very respectfully to beast pirates just now, it was because beast pirates were still alive and could suppress him. If this great battle were to erupt later, the beast pirates would undoubtedly suffer heavy losses. It's not impossible that Beast Kaido could be killed in action. The phone call to Beast Kaido just now was a precaution. If Beast Kaido were to survive, at least Doflamingo would be showing his loyalty. Then Beast Kaido wouldn't have any reason to seek him out. Now, it's just a matter of seeing how the situation develops. As long as Beast Kaido hasn't fallen from power, Doflamingo will continue to serve him. After hanging up Doflamingo's phone, Kaido realized that Doflamingo was a fickle opportunist. He could currently control Doflamingo, which is why he was so respectful. But if he were to fall from power, the outcome would be obvious. However, this approach has both advantages and disadvantages. In Kaido's view, the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. A short while later, King Flame Ear brought Kozuki Hiyori to stand before Kaido. King Flame Ear respectfully said, "Mr. Kaido, I have brought Kozuki Hiyori to you." At this very moment, Kozuki Hiyori was filled with immense fear, wondering why Kaido of the Beasts had suddenly sent the Flame Ear King here. Kaido commanded, "King, you go to the Sabati archipelago and wait for orders. Be careful not to be discovered. When you get there, contact Doflamingo, and he will tell you the location and information of the celestial dragons. Tie them up and bring them back immediately. Don't waste any time on the way." "What? I understand." The Flame Ear King was instantly shocked, but he didn't ask why. Mr. Kaido certainly had his reasons for doing this, so he just followed orders. Kaido then turned his gaze to Kozuki Hiyori and calmly said, "Maria brought you to me, and I haven't touched you yet. Now come and serve me." There was one thing Kaido didn't say, and that was that he wanted to capture the Mink tribe, and using Kozuki Hiyori as a breakthrough point would be ideal, because those Mink tribesmen were a bunch of stubborn fools who followed rigid logic. Special methods were needed to control them first, using Kozuki Hiyori to ultimately take down the Mink tribe. Kozuki Hiyori knew this day would come. It was only a matter of time. He just didn't expect it to happen at this moment. "Lord Kaido, Hiyori is here to serve you," Kozuki Hiyori replied softly, bowing her head. In the new world, somewhere in the sea above Zunisha Zoo, Kaido, transformed into his azure dragon form, was flying above Zunisha Zoo with Kozuki Hiyori. Kozuki Hiyori was completely limp, having been brutally tormented by Kaido for a day and a night. The fact that she could still endure it was thanks to her relatively strong physique. Otherwise, she would have fainted long ago. Kaido said, "Hiyori, do you remember what I told you?" "I understand, Lord Kaido. I am now your woman, and of course, I must think of you." Kozuki Hiyori had come to terms with it. Now that she was Kaido's woman, she wanted to maximize her benefits, and everything had to go according to Kaido's wishes. At the very least, with this appearance, relying on her man Kaido, she could have even more influence in Wano in the future. Kozuki Hiyori was extremely proficient in these principles and knew how to please men. Kaido left his blue dragon form, and with Hiyori, he landed smoothly on Zunisha Zoo's back. Zunisha Zoo, as if sensing a dangerous figure approaching, began to move her large body. This scene left all the Mink tribe members extremely puzzled. Normally, Zunisha wasn't this agitated. It was daytime, and the person in charge was Inuyasha, who led his people to Kaido's presence. When Inuyasha saw Kozuki Hiyori, he almost thought he hadn't mistaken her for someone else. He uncertainly asked, "Excuse me, are you the Lord?" "Are you Inuyasha? I am Kozuki Hiyori. You said you are my mother." Kozuki Hiyori replied. Inuyasha, having already guessed, inquired, "You're called Kozuki Hiyori. Could it be?" Later, Kozuki Hiyori explained to Inuyasha what had happened and the situation. When Inuyasha heard that the person beside Kozuki Hiyori was Kaido of the 100 Beasts, he was so frightened that he immediately drew his sword and questioned Kaido. "You are Kaido, the murderer of Lord Odin?" Initially, Inuyasha had suspected that this person was Kaido of the 100 Beasts, having met him before, but so many years had passed, and he was also with Lady Kozuki Hiyori, which made Inuyasha hesitant to make a hasty judgment. At the same time, the musketeers behind Inuyasha also drew their weapons and aimed them at Kaido. Kozuki Hiyori hastily raised his hand to stop them. He was terrified that Kaido would kill Inuyasha and the others. After all, Kozuki Hiyori knew Kaido's strength. He said, "Inuyasha, you've misunderstood. Let me explain." After Kozuki Hiyori's lengthy explanation, which lasted nearly half an hour, Inuyasha and the others finally understood. However, Inuyasha felt something was off, and for a moment he couldn't quite put his finger on it. According to Kozuki Hiyori's explanation, the real villains were Kurozumi Orochi and his group, and Kaido, unaware of the situation, had accidentally killed Kozuki Odin. Now, as an act of remorse, Kaido had made Kozuki Hiyori his woman. The ringleader, Kurozumi Orochi, had been publicly executed by Kaido, and Wano country had once again regained its former glory. This was what Kozuki Hiyori had told Inuyasha. What Inuyasha didn't know was that at this very moment, his intelligence was completely crushed. Inuyasha said, "So, Lady Hiyori, you hope that I and Nekomamushi will serve as your bodyguards?" "Yes, please. This is also one of my father's wishes." Kozuki Hiyori bowed her head and pleaded with Inuyasha. In truth, Kozuki Hiyori was more concerned with her own interests, knowing that Lord Kaido wanted to acquire the power of the Mink tribe, and as an intermediary, if he could handle this matter well, Lord Kaido would surely favor him even more. "I understand. I will speak to Nekomamushi." In Inuyasha's heart, this was already considered an agreement. After all, no matter what, Kozuki Hiyori was Lord Odin's daughter, and serving Lord Hiyori by her side as a bodyguard was also considered serving Lord Odin. Kozuki Hiyori breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing Inuyasha's willingness, fearing Inuyasha wouldn't agree. Kaido, however, wasn't surprised by this at all, because these Mink tribesmen, given Kaido's strength, were barely brainless. At this moment, Kaido chuckled and said, "Ha ha ha hey, you cut hiding in the shadows, come out." Continuing to hide there is pointless, isn't it? Inuyasha, Kozuki Hiyori, and the other Mink tribesmen all looked at Kaido with puzzled expressions. Nekomamushi, smoking a cigarette, walked over and said, "As expected of Kaido of the 100 Beasts, his senses are truly amazing." Meanwhile, Carrot, hiding behind the musketeer squad, was curiously watching Kaido of the 100 Beasts. Hours later, after they had officially become acquainted, Carrot mustered the courage to ask curiously, "Lord Kaido, weren't you always known as a very ruthless person? Why do you seem so gentle now?" The other Mink tribesmen also became curious. Kaido laughed and replied, "Hey, Inuyasha and Nekomamushi have both become Hiyori's bodyguards. Hiyori is my woman, so you two are also mine. Why would I be harsh to you?" "That's amazing." Carrot jumped up and clung to Kaido, biting his arm. Following Carrot's bold action, the other Mink tribesmen also became bolder, rushing to Kaido's side, curious about his body. Only Inuyasha and Nekomamushi felt a sense of unease. No matter what, this beast Kaido was the murderer of Lord Odin, even if the real culprit was Kurozumi Orochi. But the fact that beast Kaido killed Lord Odin was undeniable. Now they were working for Lord Odin's daughter, Hiyori. They didn't know that Kaido had already seized control of their Mink tribe. An hour later, Kaido transformed into his enormous azure dragon form, a sight that terrified the Mink tribe. Inuyasha, Nekomamushi, and the others from the gunslinger squad followed Kozuki Hiyori back to Wano country with Kaido. Zu, as mentioned in the main historical text, was also brought back by Kaido. The Beast Pirate's flag was also inscribed there. In Wano country, on the barren peak of Onigashima, the Beast Pirates officers and elite members were all gathered, including the newly arrived Inuyasha and Nekomamushi. The members of the Musketeer squad were also present, except for the Flame King, who had been sent to the Subati archipelago by Kaido. The Beast Pirates were already on the verge of arguing with Inuyasha, Nekomamushi, and the other Mink. Kaido's voice, filled with suppressive haki, said, "Silence. If anyone dares to speak, I'll teach them a lesson. The Mink are now members of our Beast Pirates, understand? Understood, Lord Kaido, the Beast Pirates respectfully replied. With Lord Kaido himself speaking, they wouldn't dare to speak up. They'd be asking for trouble. Inarashi and Nekomamushi were unusually silent. They were Kozuki Hiyori's bodyguards, so why had they suddenly become members of the Beast Pirates? Kaido swept his gaze across everyone present and declared, "Next, everyone will undergo rigorous training for 1 week. I will be the trainer." Lord Kaido, you're going to train us personally. The members of the Beast Pirates were shocked, never imagining that Lord Kaido would personally announce his intention to train them. Kaido motioned for everyone to be quiet and directly criticized them, saying, "From top to bottom, you are all too weak. Therefore, if anyone fails to persevere, the consequence will be death." Kaido's words caused everyone present to gasp in disbelief. In Kaido's eyes, these people still had some room for improvement. Enel was an unimportant aspect, because he hadn't even arrived in Wano yet. Every day was basically spent training, and Enel's physical strength wasn't simply exceptional. Most importantly, he had begun to master Bisashoku Haki. The conflict between the Mink tribe and the Beast Pirates had also subsided completely under Kaido's forceful suppression. Jack, the Drought, whispered, "Brother Queen, why do I feel that Lord Kaido's aura has become even stronger?" "Don't tell me. I feel the same way." Queen shared the same feeling as Jack, that is, she felt Lord Kaido possessed an incredibly vast hidden power. Queen then whispered back, "It's strange, Lord Kaido's strength is already at the top of the world. Could his strength possibly continue to increase? That would be truly terrifying. Isn't this great? The stronger Lord Kaido becomes, the sooner we, the Beast Pirates, will seize the Pirate King." According to Jack, it was simple and clear. The stronger Lord Kaido, the better. In fact, Queen and Jack felt the same way. Even though Kaido tried his best to suppress his aura, the terrifying energy within him wouldn't disappear. Combining the power of Beast Kaido and Aramaki Ryokuju, Kaido could now be said to be truly at the pinnacle of the world. Among the crowd, Nami, Nojiko, Robin, Black Maria, Monet, and Kozuki Hiyori stood together. Robin analyzed, "I didn't expect Lord Kaido to value the strength of the Beast Pirates members so much. The situation is different. In the past, Lord Kaido would only have his subordinates use artificial devil fruit abilities to increase their strength." Black Maria offered an explanation. "Things have changed now, just like before. They'll be training their subordinates themselves. What surprised me most is that the Three Calamities and the Flying Six all want to join." Monet remained silent, his gaze constantly sweeping over the officers and members of the Beast Pirates. Monet could see that the overall strength of the Beast Pirates was indeed far superior to the Don Quixote family. No wonder the young master seemed to be at a disadvantage when facing Kaido of the Beast Pirates. There was a reason for it. Monet had now witnessed the reality firsthand. Moreover, not to mention Kaido, the Beast Pirates' most powerful fighter, whose strength far surpassed everyone else's. However, Monet understood the young master's purpose in assigning him to the Beast Pirates. To put it bluntly, it was to act as a spy. Monet didn't want to disappoint the young master. Nojiko said, "Nami, I used to think the Arlong pirate crew was very powerful, but now that I think about it, we were really too naive back then. Compared to the Beast Pirate crew of the Four Emperors, they simply have no chance of comparison." Indeed. Nami nodded in agreement, saying, "Especially Lord Kaido. He gives off the feeling of an unshakable mountain, standing firm from beginning to end." During the subsequent training, Kaido basically radiated the pressure of Heishoku Haki every hour, honing these guys' resistance. And now, if Kaido were to fully unleash his Heishoku Haki, he could not only inflict physical damage, but also achieve precise long-range attacks with incredibly destructive power. Heishoku Haki is a physical strength and ambition that grows and develops. Even though Aramaki Ryokuju didn't possess Heishoku Haki, Kaido's Heishoku Haki increased after absorbing it. Kaido's main focus is on Enel, Jin, Queen, Jack, Who's Who, Shikamaru, Page One, and Genji. These individuals have relatively greater potential for improvement. Enel, in particular, currently possesses only rudimentary Bisashoku Haki, yet his strength is not inferior to Jack and Queen. This is mainly due to the Goro Goro no Mi fruit ability, which brings incredibly destructive power. Enel's current training focuses on consolidating his foundation. As for Robin, Nami, Nojiko, Black Maria, Monet, Hiyori, and Genji, Kaido has no requirements for their strength. Of course, if they want to participate in the demonic training, Kaido won't stop them. In the first half of the Grand Line, the Sabaudi Archipelago, a crime-ridden area, the celestial dragon St. Charles sat atop a slave, kicking his leg irritably and muttering, "Damn slave, so slow." The surrounding kneeling citizens all bowed their heads, and several supernovas also knelt among them. What happened next was that St. Charles wanted a married nurse to become his 13th wife. The nurse's husband immediately rushed forward, shouting, "Please spare my wife." Bang! Bang! St. Charles fired 2 shots in quick succession, irritably saying, "Damn human, how dare you stand before me?" At this moment, footsteps echoed on the quiet street. Zoro, slowly drinking his sake, was still puzzled as to why everyone along the street was kneeling. Suddenly, Zoro saw a man carrying a fish tank, wiping his nose in confusion. Zoro asked, "What's wrong? Are you asking for directions? Standing so tall in front of me again?" St. Charles felt his authority was being severely challenged by these damned humans today. Just as St. Charles was about to fire at Zoro, a tall figure flew over and landed in front of Charles, grabbing him in one hand. This person was none other than King Flame Calamity, who had been waiting on the Sabaudi Archipelago to capture the Celestial Dragons. The Celestial Dragons suit-wearing guards were all in a panic. Not good. Someone is attacking a Celestial Dragon. We must quickly inform the Marine Admiral. This scene also caused the kneeling crowds on both sides of the street to widen their eyes in disbelief. Someone actually dared to attack a Celestial Dragon. Zoro stared wide-eyed in disbelief at the man before him, saying, "You are the one who fought Hawkeye Mihawk in the East Blue. Is that the one who is King Flame Calamity, the leader of the 3 calamities of the Beast Pirates, one of the 4 emperors?" Capon Beja's sharp gaze fixed on the masked man engulfed in flames. Abo licked his lips and chuckled. As expected of the second in command of the Beast Pirates, his aura is incredibly powerful. Yorush excitedly exclaimed, "Even one of his subordinates emits such a powerful aura. I wonder what the 4 emperors' own strength is like." The Flame King, with one hand firmly restraining Charles, said to the trembling guards, "Go back and tell your master that capturing this Celestial Dragon is our Kaido's way of repaying you." After saying this, the Flame King transformed into his beast form, flapped his pteranodon wings, and, grabbing Charles, flew away from the scene. Following the capture of the Celestial Dragon by the Flame King, the entire scene instantly descended into chaos. The capture of the Celestial Dragon meant the Navy and the world government would undoubtedly take action. "Captain Bonnie, something big has happened. This is the latest news." At that moment, a pirate rushed over with a newspaper. Upon seeing the contents of the newspaper, Bonnie exclaimed in shock, "What?" "The Navy wants to publicly execute Kaido's daughter, so that's it." No wonder the Flame King captured the Celestial Dragon earlier. Is this a war between the Navy and the 4 emperors? More and more people learned of this news, as the Navy was extensively publicizing the public execution of Kaido's daughter. The news of the Celestial Dragon being captured by the Flame King of the Beast Pirates also spread rapidly throughout the Sabaudi Archipelago. Hawkins, presenting Carol's calculations, said, "The Navy wants to publicly execute Kaido's daughter, which is why Kaido sent the Flame King to capture the Celestial Dragons. Therefore, a battle between the Navy and the 4 emperors is inevitable." Meanwhile, Trafalgar Law rubbed his temples helplessly, saying, "With such an incident, we definitely can't go to the New World anytime soon. I wonder if the Navy admirals will still come to the Sabaudi Archipelago." Drake and his crew were resting in a grove of trees, but Drake's expression was very grim. He said, "I never imagined that in such a short time, the whole world would suddenly become so precarious." The official clash between the Navy and the 4 emperors is about to begin. In a tavern belonging to the Kid Pirates, Kid slammed the newspaper on the table and asked with a smile, "Killer, what do you think about this?" Sitting beside him, Killer replied, "The detonator is on Kaido's daughter Yamato's body. The Navy wants to publicly execute him, and the Flame King has captured the Celestial Dragons. It's obvious it was Kaido's order. If Kaido of the Beast Pirates chooses to intervene, and the location is at the Navy headquarters, the Beast Pirates will most likely be defeated." Ha ha ha, Kid chuckled, saying, "Killer, what you said is exactly what I think. The Navy headquarters and the 7 warlords of the sea. Just thinking about that combination sends shivers down my spine. I don't know the overall strength of the Beast Pirates, but we'll see when the war breaks out." The Straw Hat Pirates returned from the No. 1 Auction House to the No, 13 Trickster Island Tavern. Shaki, smoking a cigarette, watched the group of young men from the Straw Hat Pirates and said, the Celestial Dragons were lucky to be captured and taken away. Otherwise, a Grand Admiral would have descended upon the Sabaudi archipelago. Now, there are only a few Rear Admirals and Vice Admirals clearing the area. Grand Admiral, are Grand Admirals really that powerful? Luffy, who hadn't encountered a Grand Admiral like in the original story, didn't really understand what a Grand Admiral's strength was. Idiot Luffy, Grand Admirals are the highest combat power in the Navy, Usopp quietly reminded him. Navigator Deza said, indeed, when ordinary pirates encounter a Grand Admiral, they basically have nowhere to escape. Sanji, also smoking, said, the Navy wants to attack the Yonko Kaido. Kaido, that's the man we encountered in the East Bull last time. Zoro replied, that Flame King is also here to capture those celestial dragons. Straw Hat Luffy, fantasizing about the war scene, said, that's really interesting. I really want to witness such a spectacular battle scene myself. That level of battle is too far-fetched for you guys. Focus on improving your strength. Little brats, Rayleigh, sitting nearby and smiling, reminded them. The scene returns to Marineford, the Marine headquarters. In his office, Admiral Sengoku angrily slammed his hand on the table and shouted, what did you say? Kaido sent the Flame King to the Sabaudi archipelago to capture the Celestial Dragons. How terrifying! Admiral Sengoku, do you need me to go to the Sabaudi archipelago to quell the rebellion? Kizaru, sitting nearby and trimming his nails, humbly inquired. Sengoku shook his head and said, it's unnecessary. The Celestial Dragons have already been captured. Going there wouldn't accomplish anything. Let a few Rear Admirals and Vice Admirals handle the rebellion. Kizaru, I also have a mission for you. Safely escort Roswald and his daughter back to the Holy Land of Muriajua. We cannot allow any more accidents to happen to the Celestial Dragons. Understood, Kizaru slowly rose and replied. For Kizaru, this task was relatively simple and easy, not requiring any fighting. After Kizaru left the office, Sengoku rubbed his temples helplessly and said, the public execution was just announced. Kaido's actions immediately followed. Kaido must have known about it beforehand. Sengoku leaned back in his chair, looking up at the ceiling, and said softly, I hope the Gorosei are willing to help keep St. Roswald's family in check and don't interfere with the Navy's public execution. To usher in a new world, it's best to target the Whitebeard pirates. Now they're targeting the Beast Pirates. Speaking of which, Kaido is truly insane to dare attack the Celestial Dragons. No matter what, this time, Kaido definitely won't tolerate this. Following the news of the Marine headquarters publicly executing Kaido's daughter, Yamato, which spread throughout the world, many people were excited, as the Marines were finally about to take action against the evil pirate. In the new world, the Red Hair Pirates. Beckman sat in a chair, pouring Shanks a glass of wine, and smoking a cigarette, said, war is inevitable. The Marines want to publicly execute Kaido's daughter, and Kaido has also had the Flame King capture the Celestial Dragons. Therefore, this battle between the two sides is unavoidable. At that time, it will be a matter of whether the Beast Pirates will directly attack the Marine headquarters or use various means to attack the Marines and the world government. Just like this attack on the Celestial Dragons. Red-haired Shanks raised his glass and gulped it down, then said seriously, others think the Navy wants to attack the 4 emperors, but the real trigger this time is Blackbeard Teach, who defeated Kaido and handed his daughter over to the world government in exchange for the 7 warlords of the sea. This is just the first step for that Blackbeard Teach. Who knows what he'll do next? Shanks, what are you planning to do? Beckman asked, exhaling a puff of smoke. Red-haired Shanks shook his head and said, everything is inevitable. We'll just quietly observe the situation. If Kaido chooses a direct confrontation, the Beast Pirates might ultimately fall. Therefore, what we need to do is try our best to stabilize the new world situation and prevent it from becoming too chaotic and unbearable. On the Whitebeard Pirates' Moby Dick ship, Marco yelled into the phone, wait a minute, Ace, and so on. But the phone call was still cut off by Ace, which gave Marco a huge headache. It was so difficult for Ace to finally contact him, and the conversation ended so abruptly. Marco said worriedly, "Father, Ace said he wants to participate in this great battle. He wants to go to Marine headquarters to try and rescue Kaido's daughter, Yamato." From what Ace said, Yamato is his friend. That idiot, Whitebeard said, sitting in his chair, holding his head, also feeling a headache. After all, Marine headquarters is a place where anything can happen at any time. Unforeseen events are not uncommon. Diamond Juzu also chimed in, "Father, we can't let Ace go on this risky adventure. It's mainly because of that bastard Teach." Vista harbored intense hatred for the traitor Blackbeard Teach. If that bastard hadn't murdered Thatch, none of this would have happened. Following Vista's lead, the other captains of the other divisions also agreed, expressing their deep hatred for Blackbeard Teach. The members of the Whitebeard Pirates also agreed that Ace shouldn't be sent alone into such a dangerous battlefield. The chances of an accident were extremely high. Whitebeard took a sip from a jug of sake, then laughed loudly, saying, "Few on this vast ocean, anyone who harms my son and still gets away with it is simply impossible, not even the Marines." Old Man was right. The Whitebeard Pirates cheered in unison. This was their father. Unparalleled hockey. No matter who it was, he could destroy them with a single punch. Aizo voiced his biggest worry. "Old Man, Ace has voluntarily cut off contact with us. It's impossible to stop Ace from trying to rescue Kaido's daughter. So the next possibility is for us to go to the Marine headquarters and bring Ace back. The Marines certainly won't stand idly by. Besides dealing with the Beast Pirates, they might also target us, the Whitebeard Pirates." Buffalo, the captain of the 13th Division, also voiced his opinion. Marco, with a deadpan expression, said, "What are you afraid of? We are the Whitebeard Pirates. If the Marines dare to lay a hand on Ace, we'll show them how powerful we are." Marco, you're absolutely right. Diamond Juzu also agreed with Marco. The Whitebeard Pirates, on this vast ocean, had never feared anyone, nor did they need to, because they themselves were one of the world's top pirate crews, one of the world's top powers. Whitebeard finished the sake in his jug, exhaled, and said, "My man, since that idiot Ace is so clueless, let's go to Marine headquarters and bring him back to properly educate him." Father, you're right. The Whitebeard Pirates all responded, "We'll go to Marine headquarters to get Ace. If the Marines dare to make things difficult, we'll beat them senseless." New World, Big Mom Pirates Cake Island. Big Mom Charlotte Lin's eldest son, Prospero, suspiciously asked, "Mom, why did you agree to Kaido's request to look after Wano? It's a complete waste of effort for us." Prospero was very confused about this, so after his mother finished her phone call with Kaido, he couldn't help but ask. No matter how he thought about it, he felt that the Big Mom Pirates were doing something pointless, yet this decision was made by his mother. Big Mom Charlotte Lin raised her eyebrows and stared at her eldest son, questioning, "Prospero, are you trying to teach me how to do things?" "Mom, I wouldn't dare." Prospero immediately bowed his head, indicating he dared not offend Big Mom, because offending her was an extremely terrifying thing. Prospero also dared not take this risky adventure, because the consequences of offending her were too high, and Prospero dared not accept it. Big Mom Charlotte Lin picked up a piece of cake and began to eat, saying, "I wouldn't help Kaido for no reason, those who are eyeing Wano Country. If Kaido can't return to the New World, then we'll take Wano Country's territory. If he can return to the New World, then promise me, give me another enlarged copy of the original history, and I won't lose anything." With Big Mom Charlotte Lin's explanation, Prospero and Pudding instantly understood. Prospero said clearly, "So that's it. That's why Kaido said that earlier, it seems." Mainly because Prospero was too nervous earlier and didn't think of this, forgetting that his mother was very familiar with Kaido. Big Mom Charlotte Lin suddenly laughed happily. "I'm really looking forward to awakening your three-eyed tribe abilities. Then I'll be able to grasp all the content of these historical texts." "Mom, I will try my best," Pudding respectfully replied. Pudding also knew that her mother highly valued her unique three-eyed tribe abilities. After laughing, Big Mom Charlotte Lin fell into serious contemplation and said, "But then again, why would Kaido take such a huge risk to attack the Marine headquarters? Even if he manages to return alive, the entire pirate crew will definitely be torn to shreds by the Marines. Or rather, Kaido, you're just that confident. Can we defeat the Navy?" Just Sengoku and Garp, those two old geezers alone, are enough to give anyone a headache. Big Mom Charlotte Lin couldn't help but think of Sengoku and Garp, those two old geezers. After all, they were both from the same era, and Big Mom Charlotte Lin naturally knew their strength. It was precisely because of this that Big Mom Charlotte Lin didn't think much of Kaido's plan to attack the Marine headquarters. It wasn't that Kaido and his beast pirates weren't strong enough, but rather that the Marines themselves were incredibly powerful. And in this kind of domestic conflict, it was unknown how many traps the Marines had set. Prospero, on the other hand, spoke up again. Mom, I also don't think the beast pirates can defeat the Marines this time. After all, the Marines have deployed all their elite and top-tier forces, plus the 7 warlords of the sea. Kaido also needs to rescue someone. The chances of winning are at most only 1%. We all feel that even if the Whitebeard pirates deployed their entire force, in my eyes, they would only have about a 20% chance of winning. At this moment, a voice came from the gate. The course of a battle can change in an instant. Any outcome is possible. Even the Navy could be defeated because Kaido has captured the Celestial Dragons, and what he intends to do with them is unknown. Big Mom Charlotte Lin Prospero, and putting all looked over recognizing the person who had arrived as Katakuri, the supreme masterpiece of the Charlotte family and the leader of the Sweet Commanders. Pudding happily greeted him, Katakuri brother. Katakuri nodded in response. Big Mom Charlotte Lin was stunned for a moment, then laughed and said, well, it's the same thing. Kaido captured the Celestial Dragons. With that kind of talk, this great battle becomes much more interesting. Prospero's mouth dropped open, but he ultimately chose to keep quiet, because what Katakuri said seemed to make sense. Kaido of the Beast Kingdom letting the Flame King capture the Celestial Dragons would give them more room for maneuver. Katakuri didn't forget the main business, reporting, Mom, Smoothie and Cracker have already led their respective people to Wano country and will be stationed in the surrounding sea areas of Wano. Well, Big Mom Charlotte Lin happily laughed. Very good. I'm relieved to hear from my daughters. By the way, Katakuri, you'll be the mobile force, ready to assist them at any time. Okay, Mom. Katakuri didn't ask any further questions, directly agreeing to his mother's suggestion. Big Mom Charlotte Lin revealed a ferocious gaze towards the distance and whispered, Kaido, I hope you can inflict serious damage on the Navy. Don't disappoint me. Meanwhile, in Wano's Onigashima Castle, King Inflamed Ear, accompanied by the Celestial Dragon St. Charles, approached Kaido. Kaido examined the man's appearance and immediately recognized him. Wasn't this the same idiotic Celestial Dragon Charles? All day long, he just had a runny nose, utterly disgusting. Suddenly, Kaido's eyes widened in surprise as he looked at King, because at this moment, King gave Kaido a different feeling. He had changed from the inside out. Seeing the look in Kaido's eyes, Flame King knew Kaido had discovered him, so he explained, Mr. Kaido, as you guessed, my Pteranodon ability has awakened. The moment I captured the Celestial Dragons, a certain shackles in my heart seemed to be broken. Indeed, the Celestial Dragons occupying your homeland, and the elevation of your mental state, is one of the key factors in awakening your Devil Fruit ability. Kaido nodded slightly in response, continuing, when the body and mind mature enough to match the ability, an awakening will occur. Come, show me your awakened Pteranodon ability. Alright, Mr. Kaido. Flame King had long been prepared to show Kaido his awakened Devil Fruit ability. As Flame Ear King continuously transformed into his Pteranodon beast form, a circle of red flames swirled around his body. This is it. Kaido, seeing Flame Ear King's beast form, smiled with satisfaction and said, not bad. Before your abilities awakened, you used your beast form to transform your hands into wings. Now that they've awakened, your wings can transform into Pteranodon wings, and the flames remain. Most importantly, you now have 2 hands, giving you more attack options. Your strength is also approaching the peak level of a Supreme Commander. Very good. Once considered top tier among the 3 Calamities Sweet Commanders, he has now directly entered the half-step Supreme Commander level, already having 1 foot in the top tier. King Flame Ear also excitedly clenched his fists, saying, Mr. Kaido, as long as my hockey breaks through to the peak level, then my strength will definitely reach that level. Kaido laughed heartily, saying, even at the Emperor level, strength is divided into high and low levels. King, your path is still very long. But there are not many people in this world who can defeat you. King Flame Air heard Mr. Kaido mention the Emperor level for the first time, so he inquired, Mr. Kaido, you must be at the peak of the Emperor level, right? In King Flame Ear's opinion, Mr. Kaido was absolutely 100% at the peak of the Emperor level. Kaido used to be a low attack, high defense type. Of course, even in his low attack form, his attack power was at the Emperor level. In his beast form, his attack power was also at the mid-Emperor level. Compared to the top-tier Emperor level defense, his attack power was indeed insufficient. But now, Kaido simply wanted to say that everything was fleeting and not enough to cause fear. Kaido laughed and said, ha ha ha, just bringing up the Emperor level. Once the Great War begins, King, you'll know my true strength. So that's it. Then I look forward to seeing you unleash your Kamui, Mr. Kaido. King Flame Ear was also very much looking forward to seeing Mr. Kaido's powerful figure slaughtering everything in his path. Kaido instructed, go and imprison that Charles. Then we can maximize our benefits. Also, organize our personnel. This time, with a full-scale attack, we should show off our strength. Alright, Mr. Kaido, I'll go arrange it now. King Flame Ear respectfully replied and withdrew. Throughout the world, the war between the Navy and the Beast Pirates was escalating. Some people believe that Kaido of the Beasts wouldn't dare show up because that's the Marine headquarters, and pirates who go there will surely die without a burial place. Others believe that Kaido of the Beasts will appear. These people know the threat the four emperors pose in the New World and believe that Kaido will definitely show up at Marine headquarters. In Wano country, on the Onigashima training ground, Enel is battling Jack the Drought. After several hours of fighting, neither side has gained the upper hand. After striking Jack the Drought with a lightning bolt, Enel arrogantly says, you big idiot, your speed is too slow. I'll just keep kiting you. Sooner or later, you big idiot, you'll lose to me, you stinking brat. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're fast. If I land a punch on you, you're dead for sure. Jack the Drought was extremely annoyed. That damned Enel was a complete scoundrel, always relying on the speed of the Goro Goro no Mi. Enel continued arrogantly, I now possess Bisashoku Haki. Don't think you can finish me off with one punch. I can deal with you as easily as lifting a finger. Disgusting. Jack the Drought was practically about to explode with anger. He, one of the three calamities of the Beast Pirates, was being mocked like this by a newcomer. He had already lost all face. The pirates of the Beast Pirates were all discussing. Enel is really powerful. He can even restrain the giant Jack the Drought and keep him constantly attacking. What are you thinking? That's a giant. Would it be that easy to defeat him? Didn't you see Jack enduring so much damage for so long without falling down? The onlookers inside Who's Who exclaimed, that's truly admirable. The Goro Goro no Mi Logia type ability, top tier Logia. Indeed, but who told that idiot Jack to be so slow? Shimu directly criticized Jack's sluggish speed. Just as Shimu finished speaking, Junti retorted, Shimu, you're no better yourself. Your speed isn't an advantage either. Junti, do you really want to die? Shimu, being hot-tempered, wouldn't stoop to Junti's level. Junti roared back, come on. Who's afraid of whom? Let's go head-to-head. I don't think I'll lose to you. King Yantai walked over and said to everyone, are you all so idle? Mr. Kaido has given orders. Everyone prepare. Enter battle readiness mode. With the appearance of the inflamed Ear King, Enel and Jack the Drought also ceased their fighting. After all, if the battle continued, a true winner would have to be determined, so taking what they could get was a relatively satisfactory outcome for both sides. In the terrifying thriller Bark, Gecko Moria revealed an excited expression and laughed, saying, ha 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 Kaido, this time in the war, if you dare show up, I will definitely take revenge on you, and on that disgusting Straw Hat Kid. Initially, Gecko Moria was overjoyed at the thought of the upcoming great battle with Kaido of the Beasts. But then he immediately recalled his defeat a while ago, and it left him deeply troubled. Defeated Kaido of the Beasts was one thing, but at least he's now a Yonko Emperor. But what about the Straw Hat Kid? He's just a young brat who's just started sailing the seas. Gecko Moria's own defeat to the Straw Hat Kid was simply a great humiliation. Vice Admiral Straws of the Marine headquarters stood before Gecko Moria and said, Gecko Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, we must depart. Please don't waste any time. Too noisy, I already know. Gecko Moria was also getting a little impatient, but despite his impatience, he didn't start a conflict. Strice glanced at Gecko Moria, not without thinking that a warlord of the Seven Seas could be defeated by a newcomer. To be honest, even Strice felt that Gecko Moria's status as a warlord of the Seven Seas lacked substance. How else could he lose to a rookie pirate? The warlords of the Seven Seas are one of the world's 3 major powers. A warlord's defeat is a veiled insult to the Navy and the world government. Remember, Crocodile's defeat a while ago was at least against the second-in-command of the Beast Pirates, King Flame. Fishman Island. Jin, the Blue Sea Knight, slowly opened his eyes and calmly said, "A summons from the 7 warlords of the sea. Although I really don't want to participate in this war to prevent it from spreading to Fishman Island, I have no choice but to go to the Marine headquarters and pretend a little." Sigh. Jin sighed at the end of his sentence, because at this crucial moment, he had to make a choice, and the Marines had emphasized that if he didn't cooperate with this summons, his status as a 7 warlord of the sea would be revoked. Jin was also thinking of Fishman Island, so he could only agree to the Marine summons. Actually, Jin didn't know that in the original story, when the Marines and the Whitebeard pirates went to war, he directly refused and prevented it, but this time it was different. Dressrosa Royal Palace. Smoking a naval cigar, Vice Admiral Yamakaji narrowed his eyes as he stood before Doflamingo and said, "Doflamingo, the time has come. We should also set off." No, Doflamingo spread his hands and laughed. "Vice Admiral Yamakaji, there's still time, why the rush? Sit down and have a glass of red wine." "Doflamingo, this is a mandatory summons. I hope you can cooperate." Yamakaji reminded him again. At such a crucial moment, the 7 warlords of the sea should cooperate with the Navy's work, not like now, as if the Navy is begging these 7 warlords of the sea. Doflamingo immediately showed a fierce look in his eyes, warning, "Yamakaji, you must remember, the Navy has no right to order the 7 warlords of the sea, understood?" Yamakaji wasn't one to back down, and directly retorted, "HMPH. But this summons was issued by the world government?" No, Doflamingo suddenly laughed again, saying, "Yamakaji, I said we'll set off a day later. Don't make me angry and resort to violence." The moment Doflamingo finished speaking, he unleashed his Heishoku haki towards Yamakaji. An invisible wave swept over Yamakaji, causing his body to tremble slightly. His expression turned grim as he replied, "Doflamingo, a day later. I hope you can set off with me on time." To be honest, although Yamakaji wasn't afraid of Doflamingo, he knew he wasn't Doflamingo's match. Setting off a day later would be a bit tight in terms of timing, but it should still be possible. Yamakaji also planned to report this to Marshal Sengoku. Calm Belt, Women's Kingdom. Outside, a warship stopped on the sea, led by Vice Admiral Momonga. On board, except for Momonga, all the other Navy soldiers were petrified by his petrification ability. Momonga spoke into the phone, his tone deep and meaningful. "Bo Hancock, you certainly have clever tactics, but if you don't cooperate with this summons, then after our Navy eliminates the Beast Pirates, it will be your women's kingdom." "Momonga, didn't your marshal tell you that men are not allowed to enter my women's kingdom? Or are you looking for death?" Bo Hancock retorted without hesitation. Momonga frowned upon hearing Bo Hancock's words and directly asked, "So, regarding this summons, are you participating or not?" "Did I say I wasn't participating?" Bo Hancock directly asked a question in return. This time, Momonga was somewhat speechless and unable to answer. But looking at the petrified Marine soldiers behind him, Momonga immediately regained his composure and continued to question. "Bo Hancock, give me a specific time. There isn't much time left, and you also need to unlock my subordinates. Just wait and see." Bo Hancock said, then directly hung up the phone, completely ignoring Momonga. After hanging up Momonga's phone, Hancock looked at the sky outside the window and whispered, "Kaido? What kind of person are you? You're not afraid of the celestial dragons. What will you do then?" The main reason Boa Hancock agreed to participate in this war was to see Kaido with her own eyes, that man who dared to capture celestial dragons and wasn't afraid of the so-called gods. It was also because she wanted to see how Kaido would act in this war and how he would deal with the celestial dragons. These were all issues that Boa Hancock was currently concerned about. Or rather, Boa Hancock also wanted to see if Kaido knew how to fight and break the Forbidden's curse. Impel Down's 6th level, the Infinite Hell. Yamato was imprisoned in a deep cell, his body covered in wounds, his hands and feet bound by high-purity sea stone handcuffs. At the same time, mocking voices continued to emanate from around him. Have you ever heard of such an idiot? Clearly Kaido's daughter, yet she insists on calling herself Kozuki Oden. It's hilarious. That's right, the Navy wants to use him to deal with the beast pirates. I guess after this war ends, the New World's four emperors hierarchy will be officially broken. It's a pity we're imprisoned here, otherwise we could go to the New World and fight. Let's all fight. Ideally, the whole world will be in chaos. Hopefully, Kaido of the 100 Beasts can exert himself to inflict a fatal blow on the Navy. That would be best. Throughout the Infinite Hell, various voices continuously echoed, and most of these voices were attacking Yamato. There was no way around it, because Yamato's words simply described him as a typical scoundrel. Even though they were all extremely vicious villains, they also hated scoundrels, especially those who betrayed their own children. It was the most disgusting thing, nothing else. However, there were also dissenting voices. That Kaido of the 100 Beasts is still called one of the four emperors. He's a complete failure. He can't even raise his own daughter properly. He's simply a failure beyond all doubt. That's right, Kaido of the 100 Beasts is a complete failure. He doesn't deserve the title of four emperors at all. Yamato was now speechless. These days, he didn't know how many times he'd been verbally attacked by these people, from initially arguing incessantly with anger to now being completely silent. Yamato initially thought going to sea was wonderful, never imagining this world was so cruel. It could be said that life was simply worthless, especially after hearing about the various things related to the celestial dragons. His worldview was shattered. After all, the Infinite Hell imprisoned pirates. What scenes and events hadn't he seen and heard? These people themselves weren't good people either. Each of them carried countless innocent lives on their shoulders. At this moment, Magellan led his men to the door of the cell where Yamato was imprisoned, and said, "Who are you?" Yamato looked up at Magellan for a moment before he could react. Two people immediately came over and helped him up. Magellan spoke again. "Go, Kaido's daughter. Your fate ends here. I won't die so easily." How could Yamato bow down to these people? No matter what. His aura was unwavering. He was, after all, a man who possessed Kozuki Oden's will. Magellan glanced at Yamato, said no more nonsense, and directly ascended the stairs, continuing towards the next floor. The first floor's gate. Vice Admiral Onagumo and Vice Admiral Doberman had already arrived. Magellan led Yamato there and said, "The person has been brought. The formal handover begins." After confirming that she was Kaido's daughter, Onagumo and Doberman officially handed over the task to Magellan. After all, Kaido's daughter was now the most important and crucial step. Not the slightest mistake could be tolerated. Yamato was escorted to the ship, heading towards Marineford, the Marine headquarters. Yamato saw the sunlight again, but for a moment, he felt a little disoriented. Doberman, smoking a cigar, said, "Cherish these last few hours of sunshine." "Anyway, Kaido won't even think about rescuing me," Yamato retorted directly. "You're wasting your time and effort. It's just unnecessary trouble. If you want to kill me, just kill me quickly. Otherwise, I'll find a way to escape." "That's just what you think." Onagumo chimed in, saying, "In the New World, the beast pirates have already begun mobilizing. This battle is inevitable, and Kaido of the beast pirates is destined to be annihilated by the Marines." What? Yamato was shocked. He had always believed that Kaido would never come to his rescue. If Kaido really did try to save him, Yamato would be in a panic. A second later, Yamato shook his head in denial, saying, "Impossible. Kaido couldn't possibly come to save me. He wishes I were dead. Think whatever you want. Our Navy's goal is only one, to destroy the beast pirates." Onagumo completely ignored Yamato's words. Their Navy's goal would never change. That was to destroy the beast pirates, solidify the Navy's dominant position, and deter pirates. Doberman exhaled a puff of smoke and said, "But it's also strange. You have quite a strong opinion of your father, Kaido, don't you?" "That's right, because he brought chaos and pollution to Wano country, and that's why I aspired to become a man like Kozuki Oden to save Wano country." Yamato's unwavering belief that he wants to become Kozuki Oden will not be shaken. Anagumo looked at Yamato as if she were an idiot, dismissively saying, "How ironic. With a daughter like you, Kaido is destined for defeat. After all, pirates are just a bunch of trash." According to Anagumo, Kaido of the Beasts wouldn't fall now, and he would in the future. This daughter of Kaido's was, frankly, a ticking time bomb for Kaido. These trashy pirates only liked domestic violence. Yamato replied in a low voice, "Pirates aren't trash." Kozuki Oden said that a man like Roger was a truly great man, a man capable of leading the world. "What did you say?" Anagumo heard Roger was a great man. His anger flared up instantly, and he roared, "Indeed, pirates are all despicable." "Wait a minute, Anagumo. Don't get angry. This woman is going to be publicly executed." Doberman saw Anagumo about to draw his sword and quickly reminded him. Following Doberman's reminder, Anagumo somewhat suppressed his anger and said, "You foolish woman, the Navy is the world's righteous force, and the world government is the foundation for world stability." At Marineford headquarters, Admiral Kizaru was in his office, leisurely sipping coffee. At that moment, a Marine soldier ran up, stood at attention, and saluted, saying, "Admiral Kizaru, it's time to assemble." "Time already. Even my leisurely afternoon tea has to be interrupted like this." Kizaru slowly lowered his blanket, saying helplessly, "It's truly terrifying. The Beast Pirates, you've even ruined my afternoon tea time." "Admiral Kizaru, please pay attention. You can't be like this. This campaign is very important to us." The Marine soldier feared Admiral Kizaru wouldn't pay attention. The Admiral was the key factor in this war. If the Admiral wasn't focused, how could they fight the Beast Pirates? Therefore, the Marine soldiers, seeing Admiral Kizaru so relaxed, became nervous. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so tense. Kizaru, with a humble expression, said, "Even you are so nervous," which shows how terrifying the Beast Pirates are. Just as the Marine soldier was about to say something more, Kizaru walked over, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "Relax, trust Marshal Sengoku's strategy." "I understand, Admiral Kizaru," the Marine soldier respectfully replied. What else could he do? Admiral Kizaru said so, and besides, he was just a Marine soldier. To put it bluntly, in the war that might break out later, he would just be a cannon fodder. At the same time, in Admiral Aokaji's office, Aokaji lay on the carpeted floor, blindfolded and seemingly asleep, showing no sign of nervousness about the impending battle. A Marine soldier entered Aokaji's office and reported, "Admiral Aokaji, the assembly time has arrived. Please proceed to assembly." All right, Aokaji slowly pulled off his blindfold, still half asleep, and sat down, saying, "I understand. I'll be there soon." "All right, Admiral Aokaji." After receiving the reply, the Marine soldier withdrew from Admiral Aokaji's office. Aokaji drank a glass of water, picked up his cloak, and leisurely walked out of the office, greeting the Marine soldiers in the hallway. On the other side, Admiral Akainu stood before Marshal Sengoku's desk, arms crossed, smoking a cigar. Sengoku said, "This is our battle plan, Akainu. This time, we must achieve a complete victory in this campaign. Let the world know that we, the Navy, can protect them, and even the 4 emperors, we can wipe them out." "Okay, then I'll go prepare first," Akainu replied, adjusting his hat. He then turned and left Sengoku's office. After Akainu left, Sengoku looked out the window at the scene. The assembly of 100,000 elite Marines was to completely annihilate the Beast Pirates in one fell swoop. In this way, their navy could open a breakthrough in the New World and gain even greater trust from the people. On the Sabati archipelago, 3 large screens had been erected on the first island, broadcasting real-time battle situations from the Marine headquarters. At this very moment, the image showed a massive number of Marine soldiers standing in Marineford, the Marine headquarters square. This scene shocked the onlookers. They had never seen such a breathtaking formation before. Presumably, only the Marine headquarters could muster one. This was the true power of the Marines, a sight the people could truly witness. How powerful is this, the Marine headquarters' combined strength? Even the Beast Pirates, one of the 4 emperors, couldn't possibly stand against them. In the eyes of the people, how could pirates possibly stand against such a large-scale Marine headquarters force? The supernovas were also watching the large screen, but the Straw Hat Pirates were conspicuously absent. Yurish stood behind the crowd, looking at the three large screens and saying, the Marines really have a knack for this. There must be at least 100,000 of them, truly terrifying. Standing not far from Yurish, Capone Beach smoked a cigar and said, they're all elite Marines. I wonder how the beast pirates intend to break the deadlock. However, the Marines have deployed such a formation, indicating that the four Emperor's forces are not to be underestimated, otherwise, the Marines wouldn't be taking it so seriously. On Bonnie's side, a group of his subordinates were constantly bringing food to their Captain Bonnie, fearing that if they were slow, Captain Bonnie would get angry, and they would truly be in trouble. Bonnie shouted, hurry up, bring the food over quickly. The pirates of Bonnie's pirate crew were also busy. Supernova Drake's eyes never left the large screen, remaining fixed on it from beginning to end, and he analyzed in a low voice, even if the Navy completely annihilates the beast pirates, they will definitely suffer losses in the end. They might even be outmaneuvered by Kaido. Hawkins sat on a wooden chest, placing his unkillable Carol cards on it. As Hawkins continued to calculate, he found that no matter how he calculated, he couldn't determine the probability of the beast pirates being defeated. Hawkins said doubtfully, it's strange. No matter how you calculate it, Kaido's survival rate is always 100%. Does that mean Kaido won't lose this war? Are the four emperors really that powerful? Trafalgar Law, similarly seated on a wooden chest, glanced around and said, where did the Straw Hat Pirates go to witness such a crucial scene? Did they already go to the New World? That's impossible. Finally, Trafalgar Law dismissed his own speculation. Kid licked his lips, excitedly saying, let's get started. Let's see the power struggle between the Navy and the four emperors. Right, Killer? Yes, Kid, this rare and magnificent spectacle is unmissable. Killer, equally excited, stared at the large screen. Kid, his eyes cold and arrogant, said, I, in the future, will definitely become an even more formidable existence than the four emperors. Just wait, Navy. The one who ultimately obtains the great treasure will also be me, Kid. Rayleigh and Shaki sat on a tree trunk, watching the big screen. Shaki smoked, saying, Rayleigh, those little brats went to Impel Down to try and rescue someone, but now they've missed the best opportunity. If something unexpected happens, aren't you afraid? Young people should have their own adventures. Experience helps them mature faster, Rayleigh replied with a smile after taking a sip of his drink. Shaki also laughed, adding, indeed, let's wish those little brats good luck. After all, Impel Down isn't exactly a good place. Marineford Headquarters Square. On the first line of defense stood 6 pirates. These 6 were the 7 warlords of the sea, the world's greatest swordsmen, Hawkeye Mihawk, Bartholomew Kuma, Doflamingo, Boa Hancock, the Blue Sea Knight Jinbe, and Gecko Moria. The only one missing was the newly appointed warlord Blackbeard, Teach. Immediately following him was the square filled with 100,000 elite Marine soldiers, along with the Marine Headquarters Corps forces of Rear Admirals and Vice Admirals. On the long platform, Yamato was kneeling, with Admiral Sengoku presiding over the overall situation. Below, on 3 chairs, sat the Marine Headquarters highest-ranking admirals, Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru, who were also the crucial foundation for the success or failure of this war. In the rear, there was the Marine Hero Garb and the Chief of Staff, Vice Admiral Tsuru. In this war, the Marines were determined to achieve 100% victory without the slightest possibility of mishap. Their goal was to show the world that pirates, even the 4 emperors, were nothing to fear in the face of the Marines. Sengoku took out his phone, his eyes sweeping over everyone present, and shouted, today's public execution is significant because it will break the pirate-dominated situation in the New World. Therefore, even if it means a full-scale war with the beast pirates, we will not hesitate. This woman is Kaido's daughter, carrying the blood of evil in her veins. We have captured her, so the moment to break the New World status quo has arrived. As soon as Sengoku finished speaking, the Marine soldiers in the square cheered in unison. Justice will prevail. Justice will prevail. Justice will prevail. At this moment, the Marines' blood began to boil with excitement. Just as Marshal Sengoku said, they wanted to break the pirate-dominated situation in the New World. Doflamingo, with his hands in his pockets, chuckled and asked, No, you guys. Are you really here to participate in this war? Or are you just here to be bystanders? The old man, simply have no choice but to participate in this war. Jin replied, giving an ambiguous answer. However, the experienced Doflamingo immediately understood Jinbe's meaning. To put it bluntly, Jinbe was just here to make a brief appearance. So Doflamingo continued to inquire, "And you? Are you all planning to ignore this war?" "Doflamingo, what's wrong? You seem quite concerned about this," Gecko Moria retorted. Doflamingo scoffed. Gecko Moria, a foolish pirate who lost to a rookie, but has no right to speak. "What did you say, Doflamingo? You want to die?" Gecko Moria was instantly enraged by Doflamingo's words. Even if he had to peel back the scars, he shouldn't be acting like this. Their argument drew the attention of Hawkeye Mihawk and Boa Hancock. Only Bartholomew Kumar remained completely unresponsive, showing no emotion whatsoever, as if he were dead. Boa Hancock said with disgust, "A bunch of disgusting men, what bad luck." Hawkeye Mihawk said coldly, "If you want to fight, go somewhere else. Don't fight right here." HMPH. Gecko Moria had no intention of continuing the argument with Doflamingo. Doflamingo's lips curled into a cold smile as he said, "No, no, 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 fool." A Marine Rear Admiral raised his sword and shouted, "All members, only 3 hours left. Justice will prevail." Roar, roar, roar. 10,000 Marine soldiers roared in unison, their voices deafening at Marineford, and even spreading to the sea, the roars could still be heard. At this moment, a Marine soldier rushed to the long platform and anxiously reported, "Marshal Sengoku, it's terrible. The Gate of Justice, for some unknown reason, has opened." "What did you say?" Upon hearing this news, Sengoku immediately realized that the beast pirates had arrived and had even managed to break through the Gate of Justice. The alarm sounded in the Marineford Square. Tut 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 beep. As the alarm sounded, the entire marine went into alert. Fog spread continuously across the sea, obscuring the vision of the Marines. A moment later, 40 ships flying the beast pirates' flag appeared. The leaders on these 40 ships were all the headliners, the mainstays of the crew, and their men, each carrying 2/3 of the beast pirates' force's 500 men per ship, totaling 20,000. Immediately, a Marine Rear Admiral shouted, "The beast pirates have appeared. Quickly find the whereabouts of the Yonko Kaido." However, many Marines using binoculars couldn't see any sign of Kaido. The 40 ships drew closer and closer to Marine Headquarters Marineford, and the pirates on board cheered excitedly. In the Admiral's position, Kizaru looked up at the sky in disbelief, trembling as he said, "That's terrifying." Because a dark shape was getting closer and closer, and as it approached, it became clear that it was an island. It's completely unimaginable that such a thing would appear in this place. Aokiji scratched his head, muttering silently. Akainu raised an eyebrow and said, "This kind of ability. It's very similar to an old geezer who's been discarded by the times." "Akainu, you mean the Golden Lion, right?" Kizaru, with a mischievous expression, chimed in with his guess. As Vice Admiral Tsuru watched the island approach, he said quietly, "With things turning out this way, our plan is completely useless." Hahagarp laughed heartily in response. "That's more interesting." But then again, that little brat Kaido actually managed to do something like this. It's truly unexpected. Now is not the time to talk about these things. The war has begun, Vice Admiral Tsuru reminded Garp. Walking along the long path, Yamato, kneeling on both knees, stared wide-eyed in disbelief at the beast pirates arriving on the battlefield, exclaiming in shock, "My father Kaido actually had the audacity to fight his way to rescue me. Why?" At this moment, Yamato couldn't believe it. Having grown up in Wano, he naturally knew the total strength of the beast pirates, and that Kaido, that bastard, was actually putting all of them on the line. This was something Yamato had never dared to imagine before, because in Yamato's opinion, her father Kaido wouldn't care about her life or death, otherwise he wouldn't have treated her like this. This was Yamato's most intuitive feeling. Moreover, her father Kaido's actions in Wano were indeed wrong. After Jin finally saw the island's appearance, he showed a look of doubt and shock, saying, "That's really amazing. But why do I feel that the island's shape is very similar to the shape of an inland bay?" No, Doflamingo chuckled, his hands in his pockets. "That's exactly right. Interesting." Gecko Moria, his eyes blazing red, glared intensely at the approaching Kaido on the island, muttering to himself, "Kaido, this time I will definitely defeat you." Just wait. I want to turn you into the most powerful zombie corpse. Gecko Moria himself didn't realize that deep down, he was actually afraid of Kaido of the 100 Beasts, afraid of facing Kaido again and being defeated once more. However, thinking of the reinforcements behind him, Gecko Moria arrogantly declared, "Behind me are 100,000 marine soldiers and the 3 admirals. Kaido of the 100 Beasts, how do you think you can attack? This time, you're definitely going to die." Gecko Moria didn't believe that with so much fighting power on his side, how could Kaido of the 100 Beasts possibly withstand them? Therefore, Kaido of the 100 Beasts was doomed. However, neither Mihawk nor Boa Hancock showed any emotion, and Bartholomew Kuma remained completely unmoved. 100,000 marine soldiers, deep down, began to feel a sense of dread. They had never encountered such a terrifying display of power before, an entire island collapsing. Was that the might of the 4 Emperor's Beast Pirates, Kaido? No wonder their marine high-ranking officials valued it so highly, summoning elites from all corners of the land to confront the 4 Emperor's Beast Pirates. They didn't know that Kaido's fiery cloud was pulling the island down. Otherwise, it would have directly struck Marineford, the marine headquarters. Seeing this, Sengoku immediately ordered the 3 admirals, "What are you waiting for? Go and stop that island. Are you going to just stand there and watch it fall?" Kizaru, revealing a cowardly expression, said, "How terrifying. My devil fruit ability isn't suited for destroying such a large area of the island. Sakazuki Kyuzen, you to handle it. Then let Akainu do it." Aokiji, also looking lazy, pushed Akainu, who was sitting in the middle, forward and suggested. Akainu raised his eyebrows, glancing at Aokiji and Kizaru, and said, "You two, don't wait until the war starts before you start working without contributing anything." After saying that, Akainu stood up, preparing to stop the island from falling, because there was no time to say more to Aokiji and Kizaru. If they continued talking nonsense, the island would already be falling. Akainu's hands transformed into molten lava, the terrifying lava instantly causing a storm to erupt around them. However, this had no effect on Aokiji and Kizaru. Meteor shower Ryusei Kazan. Akainu raised his hands, continuously unleashing incredibly terrifying lava fists, striking towards the descending island. Excellent! With Admiral Akainu taking action, he'll definitely be able to take down that island. The marine soldiers cheered excitedly. Admiral Akainu himself was almost certain to succeed. Just as the Marines thought Admiral Akainu's continuous lava fists would be enough to bring down the island, a figure flashed above it was Enel. Enel's lips curled into a contemptuous smile as he said, "Let me experience firsthand what a so-called Logia-type general can do, and see if their abilities are more powerful than my Goro Goro no Mi." 10,000 lightning. Following Enel's large-scale use of the Goro Goro no Mi, countless bolts of lightning struck the incoming lava fist. Rumble, 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 the lava and lightning in the air collided, scattering lava that fell onto Marineford Headquarters Square, instantly causing widespread chaos. Sengoku immediately thought of the Goro Goro no Mi Logia-type Devil Fruit ability, his expression turning grim as he said, "A user of the Goro Goro no Mi Logia-type Devil Fruit from the Beast Pirates. This is a Devil Fruit ability comparable to the 3 Admirals Logia-type Devil Fruits. The destructive power of a top-tier Logia-type Goro Goro no Mi would undoubtedly inflict massive casualties on the Marines." Kizaru, with his usually humble face, showed a rare expression of surprise, saying, "How terrifying. A user of the Goro Goro no Mi Logia-type Devil Fruit from the Beast Pirates. And I'm one of the top Logia-type users in terms of speed." Kizaru, that's a Logia-type fruit that can rival your speed. What do you think about that? Aokiji had already considered the deeper implications. Kizaru, with a smug expression, said, "How terrifying. To put it bluntly, even an ordinary person, after eating the Goro Goro no Mi, could instantly become a top-tier powerhouse." After Akainu's meteor shower Ryusei Kazan was blocked by Edel, the entire island officially merged into Marineford Headquarters Bay. Originally, the bay was a flat expanse of sea. Now, the bay has been transformed into a flat plain, its elevation even higher than Marineford Square, overlooking the Marines from above. The violent shaking caused at least tens of thousands of Marine soldiers to lose their balance, some even falling to the ground. Sengoku said gloomily, "Disgusting. The Beast Pirates have directly invaded the bay, completely disrupting the situation." Vice Admiral Tsuru, below, also said with a headache that Kaido did it on purpose, Otherwise that island wouldn't fit so perfectly into the bay. Haha, Garp laughed heartily, saying, "In my memory, Kaido was just a reckless little brat. I never imagined he'd become so cunning now." The soldiers' morale has been dampened. What a clever tactic. From the direction of the island, a series of footsteps echoed. Kaido walked at the forefront, laughing as he said, "Oh ha ha ha, Sengoku, your marine welcome ceremony has a unique style. Since you've already made your move, it's my turn now." The marine soldiers all saw the Yonko Beast Pirates Kaido standing behind the three calamities, Flying Six, Numbers, Mink, and other key members of the crew, along with 10,000 pirates. Behind them were the headliners and others leading 20,000 pirates. That's right, the Beast Pirates had brought about 30,000 pirates to this place, a force more than enough to contend with the Marines. Kaido, standing at the execution platform, Sengoku said with an extremely grim expression, "Attention, all Marines. The opponent is Kaido, the strongest creature on land, sea, and air. Even though we have the numerical advantage, we cannot guarantee that we can defeat him. We might very well be the ones to suffer defeat. Get to your senses, Marine headquarters." The pirates of the Beast Pirates shouted in unison, their voices deafening. In the position of the three admirals, Aokiji slowly said, "We've really attracted a bunch of formidable individuals. What good is saying anything now?" Akainu clearly expressed his displeasure with Aokiji's words. Kizaru, however, said contemptuously, "How terrifying. The Beast Pirates, it seems that winning won't be so easy for us." On the side of the seven warlords of the sea, Gecko Moria, with his bloodshot eyes, glared intensely at Kaido, the Beast King. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Kaido." The appearance of Kaido, the Beast King, immediately reminded Gecko Moria of an extremely unpleasant past experience, precisely because this Kaido was the one who had previously wiped out his entire crew. This grudge would never be resolved. Bo Hancock's gaze never left Kaido after his appearance, staring intently at him. This was the man who dared to openly attack the Celestial Dragons. She didn't know how he intended to handle this crisis, but after all, Kaido's elite Marines were gathered here. Behind Kaido was also an execution platform. When the Celestial Dragon Charles was led away on the execution platform, all the Marines present, including the admirals, were wide-eyed. What did they see? What was Kaido, the Beast King, going to do? No way. Is this real or fake? Doflamingo couldn't believe his eyes as he watched Kaido being supported by a Celestial Dragon. Was he preparing to do something like the Marines? Bo Hancock couldn't help but cover her mouth, staring at Kaido in shock. Gecko Moria was equally terrified by Kaido's actions. How insane must he be to do something like this? Jinbe, this time, began to reevaluate the current leader of the Beast Pirates, Kaido. Mihawk's gaze also changed. After all, daring to do something like this no longer simply represented madness. Kizaru, with a mixture of contempt and shock, said, "That's terrifying. If Kaido really does that, the impact on the world government will be unprecedented." Alas. Aokiji also frowned, saying, "Since we're about to wage war against the Beast Pirates, anything is possible." Damn Kaido. Akainu clenched his fists. That damn Kaido dared to do this, a crime worthy of death 1,000 times over. He said in a low, forceful voice, "Wait a moment, I will definitely use lava to blast two large holes in Kaido's body." Kaido carried the Celestial Dragon to the execution platform. Even a fool could guess what he was about to do. The Marine soldiers all widened their eyes, their hearts trembling with shock. Even more so, everything was being broadcast on screens. Kaido's move had an incredibly shocking impact on the Marines. The Marines publicly executed Kaido's daughter, and Kaido directly executed the Celestial Dragon at Marineford headquarters. Charles, the Celestial Dragon, knelt on the wooden plank with a swollen face and nose, muttering pleas for forgiveness. One can imagine that, during this time, the Celestial Dragon Charles has been tortured to the point of ruin. Sengoku couldn't help but point his finger at Kaido and loudly question, "Kaido, what do you want to do?" Ha ha ha, Kaido laughed heartily. "Sengoku, since you Marines dared to declare war on me, then I must retaliate. I'll just publicly execute the Celestial Dragon in front of you Marines and the whole world. Aren't you Marines just dogs of the Celestial Dragons? Then let me see if you have the ability to save him under my hands. Come on Marines, show me your ugly side." Only the victors deserve to speak with weight. The victors control everything. Only the victors are righteous. You despicable wretches, today on this battlefield, you can slaughter the Marines to your heart's content. The more you kill, the greater the reward. Roar, roar, roar. The entire Beast Pirate crew roared in unison, their immense voices shaking the 10,000 Marines, forcing them to retreat several steps. Follow Admiral Kaido, take down the Marine headquarters. Prepare yourselves, Marines.